They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. LA police told ESPN Dodgers pitcher Julio Urias, arrested on felony domestic violence charges late last night, released on $50,000 bond today. MLB says it's investigating the case. The Dodgers say Urias is not with the team. This is his second domestic violence arrest the past 4 years. Matchup of two teams in the thick of the NL wildcard race. Cubs up 3-0 on the Giants, top 8. As the clock continues to tick to Thursday's opener versus the Lions, the Chiefs prepping to be without all-pro defensive tackle Chris Jones. His holdout continues. Sides a few $1 million apart per year in contract talks. Chiefs likely okay without Jones short-term, but need him to make another Super Bowl repeat run. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler.
Really, the back seven on defense are pretty good. They got 3 good linebackers, and they got a bunch of intriguing options in the secondary. It's just in the middle. There's a void. They're thin there. It's an issue. I mean, if you're the Lions, you're looking at running the ball and running it pretty heavily up the middle on Thursday.
Jeremy Fowler on Greeny. U.S. Open men's 1 seed Carlos Alcaraz straight sets winner over Matteo Arnaldi.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman. ESPN Radio has an all-new morning show. It's me, Chris Canty, and Evan Cohen. We get things started Tuesday, September 5th. Tune in 6 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time, weekdays on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
Muso. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. Happy Labor Day to everybody. If you have the day off, we appreciate you for spending part of it with us here. Let us begin as we do every day here on AFR.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
With a dominating second-half performance by their quarterback, their receivers, and their offensive and defensive line. Horn sounds, this one's in the books. Florida State gets the win to move to 1-0 on the season. The Tigers fall to 0-1. Final score from Orlando. Florida State 45, LSU 24.
The tone says it all. LSU, for the 4th consecutive year, opens up its season by digging itself in a hole. This one, however, hit different on many levels. In 2020, when LSU lost to Mississippi State, we could all point to Bo Pelini's deficiencies defensively against that Mike Leach offense. In 2021, Miles Brennan, you remember, was hurt, broken arm just before the opener, and Max Johnson was thrust in to start against a veteran UCLA team on the road. And we knew Ed Ogeron was basically a lame duck coach. 2022, a year ago, there was massive roster turnover, and the job that Brian Kelly had ahead of him was illustrated by a lot of the shortcomings. This one hit differently because the expectations felt justified, and you were overwhelmed in the second half by a team that was clearly better than you. And that is very sobering. My hand's in the air. I picked LSU to win the SEC and win the national championship. We'll talk about what that means for this team in the future throughout this season. But really, there are 3 angles to this game. There's the game itself. There's what does this mean for this season and what is still in play, what is realistically in play for this team. And then This is a very hard conversation you have to have about the program. Now, I'm not going to sit here and overreact game 1 of year 2 under Brian Kelly. But Brian Kelly, earlier this summer, said point blank in an interview with ESPN that he felt his team was still a year away from building a roster that was able to compete for a national championship. I, and many others, scoffed at that and said, I think Brian's playing a little gamesmanship. This team's ready to compete. Clearly, they are not yet. Let's talk about the game. I guess because we have to. You dominated the first half. You were in complete control of that game in the first half, but it didn't reflect on the scoreboard because of missed opportunities. LSU put up 293 yards of offense in the first half, just under 300 yards of offense in the first half. You got 4 consecutive defensive stops. Florida State scored in its first possession. After that, you got 4 consecutive stops. You had so much opportunity to build a lead, to put pressure on them, to influence every decision they made moving forward because you were playing from a position of power. What happened throughout the fourth quarter, you could have done that to Florida State early in the game, but you missed the opportunity. 2 red zone possessions, you come away with no points. And how about, as much as we're going to talk about the offense, and I understand people are going to want to, defensively, you allowed them to score on 6 consecutive possessions. They scored on their first possession. You got 4 consecutive stops. And after that, you never stopped them again. They went touchdown to end the half, field goal to start the second half, then 4 consecutive touchdown drives. The only thing that stopped the Florida State offense was the end of the game. And a lot of people are going to point at Matt House, and certainly the defensive coordinator shoulders some blame. But you know what really is your problem? You ain't got the Jimmies and the Joes, man. Not in the secondary. I think we all knew it. It was the biggest weakness. I thought they could score and overcome their weakness in the secondary. But when you miss opportunities against a good team like LSU did, that's what happens. 2 red zone possessions with no points. Even into the second half, when they got the field goal to tie it, your first possession of the second half, you got a 3rd and 6, and Jaden Daniels throws a beautiful ball, a rope, off balance over the middle, hits Kyron Lacey in the hands. By the way, go back and watch it. If Kyron Lacey catches that ball, there is no one behind him. There is 1 safety on the far side of the field, and it is a foot race to the pylon. He might have scored on that play. Instead, drop, punt, they score a touchdown, and now all of a sudden you're down 7. And now you're down 7, you got to respond. You get the ball, you convert a 3rd and 6 on a beautiful route to Mason Taylor. You score, you get 8 yards. It's a first down. What do they do on first down? Deep shot to Brian Thomas. Dropped. Last play of the third quarter, Brian Thomas drops a deep ball. Where right there, if you score, you got a tie ball game. Instead, 2 veteran receivers let you down in those situations. First play of the fourth quarter, Malik Neighbors falls down, interception, ball game over. You missed so many opportunities. You know what else? Florida State was more physical. In the first half, Florida State had 5 penalties for more than 50 yards. Unsportsmanlike conducts. They hit Aaron Anderson out of bounds, knock him into the bench. They're roughing up receivers at the end of a play, 15-yard penalties. The fans are booing. They were all legitimate calls. They catch Jaden Daniels midair and body slam him into the ground. They were more physical. I never thought I'd see that. Attitude. They had it. You didn't. I know there's a lot of conversation about Jaden Daniels and Harold Perkins. We're going to talk a lot about that today. But how about the offensive line in your defensive backfield? You had 4 plays from the 2-yard line. You couldn't get in the end zone. Your running backs, Josh Williams had a 35-yard run on a draw at the end of the first half. Beautiful 2-minute drive, by the way. But minus that 35-yard draw on the run on the draw, your running backs ran 11 times for 14 yards. You could not run the ball between the tackles. This offensive line that I and many others thought was going to be dramatically improved wasn't. Now, Will Campbell was. Jared Verse made 1 play. Jared Verse, who really dominated Will Campbell last year, made 1 play in this ballgame. Will Campbell did a great job at left tackle. The rest of your offensive line, not so much. Talk about Keon Coleman. That secondary. You can say all you want about Matt House. The first touchdown where Keon Coleman caught the slant and then housed it, he broke 2 tackles. You had 2 defenders there. The 2 tackles he broke, Zy Alexander, Andre Sam. So the guy that's going to be a first-round draft pick broke the tackles of the transfers from Southeastern and Marshall. Makes sense. The deep ball, the 41-yarder over the middle that he caught right at midfield. Keon Coleman, same guy, by the way, over Deuce Chestnut. Deuce Chestnut was draped all over it. But the 6'3 freak show receiver that's going to be a first-round pick made the catch over the 5'8 cornerback. Makes sense. The touchdown Keon Coleman caught in the back corner of the end zone over Major Burns. Major Burns had position. He was running right with him. You had it covered. The freak show 6'3 receiver who's going to be a first-round draft pick made the Moss-type catch over your veteran safety in Major Burns. Meanwhile, you've got receivers who are dropping balls when you have an opportunity to make plays on third down and in the red zone. I know they drop balls too. Johnny Wilson had a couple of drops in the game. I know they had drops too, but not when it mattered. Special teams, you muffed a punt. You returned 4 kickoffs. None of them got past the 25-yard line. I mean, you had your opportunity in the first half. If there's a silver lining, it's that Florida State, I think, is the best team you're going to play all year, including Alabama. They got a 6-year quarterback. They got 2 first-round picks at wide receiver. They got the most experienced offensive line in college football. Their defensive line, Jared Verse on one side. Braden Fisk was a menace inside. Fabian Lovett had a TFL and rubbed his belly afterwards. Linebackers and secondary aren't great, but they're certainly good enough. That's probably the best team you're going to face all year. So if you're looking for the silver lining, that's it. And you were better than them in the first half. You missed your opportunity. The window was open. You just couldn't walk through it. And then they made you pay for it in the second half. So you lose this game, and you look ahead at what remains for this team in this season. Nothing is mathematically off the table, but you're going to have to do something improbable if you want to make some type of championship run, which seems laughable right now, I know, but we would have been laughing. I've done this show for 3 straight years now. This is the 4th year now. We were having the same conversation last year when they lost to Florida State. What happened? LSU got better as the season went along, and they were right there in position. They had beaten A&M. They're going to Atlanta for a chance to play Georgia with a chance to get in the playoffs. So nothing is mathematically off the table, but you're going to have to do something improbable. You're going to have to run the table. No team that's lost its season opener has ever made the college football playoff in the 4-team era or won the national championship after losing its opener. So, credit Florida State. It's a great team. And the good news for LSU is it's the best team you're going to face because right now, if you look at LSU's schedule ahead, you have Grambling this week, then you go to Starkville, then you're home against Arkansas, then you're at Ole Miss, you play Missouri, you're home against Auburn, you play Army. You're favored in all those games. You're favored in every other game. You're favored in your next 7. And you realistically could be, probably should be, 7-1 going into your bye before you go to Tuscaloosa. You play that game, you come home and play Florida, which is a train wreck. You play Georgia State, and then you get A&M at home. You have a manageable schedule. It's the thing that plays into your favor. It's why I was high on this team. I've always said it. Fewest questions against the most manageable schedule. Thought LSU had a lot of their questions answered. Most of their questions answered, and they had a very manageable schedule. They flopped in a huge spot against Florida State. But the bigger question that we have to answer is the program type question, which is talent evaluation. I mean, the best player on the field Sunday night was from the state of Louisiana and was wearing red. That's a problem. I don't know if you saw it, but Keon Coleman did tweet about it. Keon Coleman tweeted, all these people capping, man. I have nothing against that university, meaning LSU, or their coaches. They tried to get me out of high school and the transfer portal. I wasn't interested, didn't want to go there, nor stay in the state. Have a great day. Go Noles. That's from the horse's mouth. Keon Coleman said LSU recruited him. He wanted to leave the state. But the best player on the field is from Opelousas, and LSU couldn't get him here twice. I'll tell you the other thing. You miss Corey Raymond badly. There's 2 players in the state of Louisiana that are in the top 10 for this coming recruiting class that are not good. You got 8 of the top 10 committed. The staff's doing a great job. You got 8 of the top 10 committed. The 2 that are uncommitted are a defensive tackle, best player in the state, and a cornerback. A cornerback from John Ehret, who's going to Florida. That's your biggest weakness, and the best player in the state at that position is going to Florida to play for your former defensive backs coach, and that's a problem. While you've got a transfer from Southeastern and a transfer from Syracuse playing your boundary corner, and the best player at that position in your state is going to play for your former coach in Gainesville. Now, maybe J.K. Johnson gets healthy and has an impact. Maybe Denver Harris, the light bulb comes on. For all y'all keep talking about Denver Harris. You think Brian Kelly you think Brian Kelly's just teaching Denver Harris a lesson after what you saw on Sunday night? You think he's choosing not to play Denver Harris? You think he's cutting off his nose to spite his face? They're going to play the best guys they got. He ain't one of the best ones they got. I've been trying to tell you all this for months. Last thing I'll say, and I have changed my mind on this. LSU needs to play week 0. You got Southern Cal next year in the opener out in Vegas. You play Nichols week 2. You need to move that Nichols game like yesterday. You need to move that Nichols game to week 0 because it is just evident. You need a tune-up. You need a game to iron out the kinks. I've flipped on this. I didn't feel that way for a long time. But 4 years is enough of a sample size to say, I need that game where I go out, play well, win, find out what works, what doesn't, get my guys some run before I go play the big game. Somebody get Nichols on the phone today and get petition to the NCAA to move that game to week 0. All right, it's after further review. Brought to you by, of course, Bud Light, our show open every day. Official beer of the LSU Tigers. Needed many of them last night. Official beer of the New Orleans Saints and the official beer of the Southern Jaguars. Drink easy in Louisiana with great taste in Bud Light. Okay, I'm a little late here. Apologies. Let me knock out a break. Come back. Everyone is talking about Harold Perkins. I'm going to bring Darry Beckwith on. This guy was an all-SEC middle linebacker. I want Darry's opinion on what he saw from Harold last night. That's next. It's AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Pluckers. Every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings, so get on by. You know it'll make you feel better, a little comfort food. How about award-winning jumbo chicken wings? Drink a few ice-cold draft beers. Maybe have a cocktail at their full-service bar and watch sports on TV. Tonight, they'll wrap up week 1. Clemson against Duke. Excited about this one, as a matter of fact. It's an ACC matchup with Clemson, who might very well go toe-to-toe a couple of times this year with Florida State for the ACC championship, but they start the season tonight against Duke there in Durham. So you need a place to watch? Get by Pluckers, either location. Nicholson, just south of campus, and Bluebonnet right in front of the Mall of Louisiana. Remember, award-winning jumbo chicken wings every single Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. So pay one low price and eat as many wings as you want all night long every single Monday. So get there early, stay there late, watch the entire Clemson-Duke game or whatever it is that they got on the TV all season long. The place to watch football and eat wings is at Pluckers, where if you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
Well, I mean, you know, he's playing a position for the first time, so there's a learning curve there. He's learning how to play linebacker for the first time. You know, we put him in a position last year where he was see ball, get ball. Now he's in a position where, you know, he's got to get over the top. He's got a back coming out of the backfield. You know, he's got to be disciplined and you know, can't lose his eyes on the quarterback mesh, you know, 4th down. There's a lot going on there, and he's trying to sort it out. You're catching a young player early on in his career, and he's going through some growing pains.
Brian Kelly on Harold Perkins. A lot of the conversation, man. A guy that was so forceful, so impactful a year ago. They've changed positions. And although Harold Perkins was 3rd on the team in tackles, he felt absent. Darry Beckwith is former All-SEC linebacker, 2007 national champ. He's always been good to us when we call on him. Great dude. And we talked to Darry, you know, about a month ago, man, right at the start of camp, and we talked about this Harold Perkins transition. And now that we saw it for a game, I wanted to get Darry back on to get his thoughts. Darry, we appreciate you, man. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. How are you doing today?
I've been better, but I'm awake and alive, and that's a great thing. So let me just start big picture. So you're a linebacker. No doubt you watched Harold Perkins. You trained your eyes on him during the game. What did you see from Harold?
I saw someone who is not familiar with the position. And when I talk about that, it's no indictment on Harold Perkins as a football player. Harold Perkins as a football player is dynamic. Harold Perkins as a football player is exceptional. I said a month ago when I came on your show, I said you will have growing pains with him at the inside linebacker position because he's a guy that's used to going get the quarterback and using a specific skill set. And now you're asking him to play off the ball, being able to read specific keys, having the ability to drop in coverage, get backs out the backfield, and that's something that he's going to struggle with. Now, you asked me a month ago, you said, Darry, do you think he will end up being a good inside linebacker? And I said, yes, he will, but like you said, he's going to go through a transition. But will he have the best impact on LSU defense being an inside linebacker? And I said no. And that's still the same case today. His impact should be rushing the passer and did exactly what he did last year. Because what you're finding out is if you don't have a pass rusher who's dynamic the way Harold Perkins is, our secondary, who's not that talented, will struggle. And so I saw a guy who was still trying to figure it out. I saw someone who was spanking too much and not letting his athletic ability and his God-given talent take over.
Darry, how quickly is it realistic to expect Harold Perkins can learn that position of play off-ball linebacker?
It's going to take all season. It's going to take all season. And the reason I say that is because it's the experience factor. Obviously, I didn't watch not one single high school game of Harold Perkins in his career, but I saw highlights. And every highlight that I saw on defense, he really wasn't making plays off the ball. He was making plays off the edge. He was making plays blitzing up the middle. So it's going to take an adjustment. Now, will he get better each game? Yes, absolutely he will get better each game. Yes, he's going to make some flash plays, but also at the same time, that's a whole new ball game that you're trying to get him to figure out, because people think if you're just fast and can run athletic, you can play the inside linebacker position. But the most important thing is your eyes. You have to be able to train your eyes. You have to have peripheral vision more than anybody else on the football field, because you have to see so much. So it's going to be, in my opinion, a year-long process. If they continue to play him at the inside linebacker position, and from what it sounds like, I don't think they're going to make any changes right now. I'm not sure, but it's going to be a year-long process, and hopefully he will continue to get better. He will, make more flash plays. But I don't want the LSU fans to think that Harold Perkins is going to have a down year because you may not see the numbers, you may not see the sacks. It's just going to be an adjustment period until he gets comfortable with it. And, Matt, I think sometimes as LSU fans, we get so caught up in the preseason hype and the talent that we have. But also, as from a coaching standpoint, when you watch this kid in spring ball, you watch him during training camp, he didn't just miss the backfield against Florida State, messed up on the mesh with the quarterback and running back. I'm pretty sure he did that in practice. So I just think this is one of these situations where I don't understand why they moved him. It's like saying All-American running back the year before, hey, man, we're going to put you as slot receiver this year. I don't get it. I don't know if they're projecting him for the NFL, but I promise you, even NFL, they can coach this guy to be an elite pass rusher.
Darry Beckwith is our guest. He's on Twitter at Darry Beckwith, former All-SEC linebacker, was 2007 national champ. You came in 2005 and stayed 4 years, team captain, everything. When did you feel comfortable as a Mike backer in the SEC?
After my sophomore year, after we played Auburn. I tell this story all the time. And I was fortunate enough to play linebacker off the ball my whole 3 years at Parkview Baptist. So I was fortunate enough to do that. My first practice ever in full pass at LSU, I'm going against Joseph Adai, Andrew Whitworth, who else on that team? We had Will Arnold at guard, Jamarcus Russell. We had Stelt's older brother at fullback. I can remember the first play we had in full pass. They broke the huddle. The ball was snapped. And, Matt, I did not move at all. All I saw was Joseph Adai running back to the huddle. He already ran 20 yards down the field, and I didn't move not 1 inch. That's how fast it was. And so it took me all of my freshman year. And then even me starting my sophomore year, I didn't get adjusted until the Auburn game after we played Kenny Iron. And I can remember the speed of the game was so much different than in high school, because in high school you're bigger and you're faster than everyone. So your room for error, you can mess up. I can go the wrong way on a counter play. I can have a false step and be able to recover and make the tackle. So it did take me a full year to get adjusted of the speed of the game to play the linebacker position.
You're Kendall Beckwith is your cousin, right?
Yes.
The best comp that I have, Darry, to what they're doing with Harold is what LSU did with Kendall. Remember, Kendall came out of high school and he was a freak show. And his freshman year in 2013, they said, "Hey, look, third down, just go off the edge and go rush the passer." And then in 2014, they moved him to inside backer, and DJ Welter was there. And Kendall was just an obviously superior athlete, But DJ knew where to be, how to get guys lined up. He was never going to make the mistake. But Kendall just had the higher ceiling. Eventually, that transition happened, and Kendall became an All-American. He was awesome. Like, does it make sense that for Harold Perkins, they're following that same path with him? Like, that's the idea is, yeah, we know that we could put you on the edge and you can go rush the passer, but your ceiling is so much higher doing this other thing, and we're willing to go through the growing pains to get you there?
I can say yes, but also it doesn't make sense. If Kendall came in as a freshman and he was played at DN position and he made the sacks, which he did, he made a few sacks, but if he was an All-American as a defensive end as a freshman, I guarantee you Coach Miles and his staff wasn't going to say his sophomore year, hey, man, go to inside linebacker position. You even know that you wreaked havoc on offense your freshman year. Like, offense had the game plan around you. Lane Kiffin, who's probably one of the most preeminent play callers in the country last year, said, hey, Lane, what was the difference in this game plan? He said when they put number 40 in. So when you have head coaches basically speaking out on how you had to physically stop one person as a coach, it's not a lot you have to think about. Like, this is the guy. This is who we should be playing at this position. If Kendall did that as his freshman year, if he just wreaked havoc and teams had the game plan around him, I promise you, Les Miles wouldn't have said that, hey, we're going to move you to inside linebacker this year. That wouldn't have been the case. Now, even Kendall himself wanted to play linebacker the whole time. He never wanted to play defensive end. So I think that's a different dynamic in itself as well. And Kendall also, people don't realize this, even though he played quarterback in high school, which is incredible. He was 6'2", 250 playing quarterback.
It was so unfair.
That's so unfair. That was so unfair. But also, people don't realize Kendall played off the ball in high school as a linebacker a lot. So people don't realize that. They think of him being a quarterback, but he was off the ball linebacker, so he was familiar with that. And I just think in this situation, you don't want to mess up a player's confidence when it comes to things like this. Because I had a feeling this was going to happen. Had a feeling that because the game is on national TV, everything is exposed now. You have social media, everybody can see what's going on. And a player like Harold, you don't want to mess with his confidence. But hey, look, I'm not getting paid 7 figures, whatever it may be. So you get paid that much money to coach. You better make sure you know what you're doing.
Darry, I got a couple more for you. Darry Beckwith is with us, former All-SEC linebacker at LSU national champion, talking about Harold Perkins. Does LSU have enough off-ball linebackers that you'd be confident putting them there with Omar Spates and moving Perkins back to that jack position?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Greg Penn had 78 tackles last year. Greg Penn also lost 15 to 20 pounds this year to be able to play the inside linebacker position. So you're talking about a guy who played the position last year in Greg Penn, who I saw flashes that, okay, this guy can be pretty productive at the inside linebacker spot. I saw his best game was against Arkansas, and he got himself in shape. This year lost weight. I think he's the guy that can play with Omar Spates in the inside linebacker position and move Harold Perkins back to the jack position. You had a guy in the name of DeMario Tolan who ended up transferring to Auburn who would have been a great fit. They're talking about a guy who can flat out run. But the decision to say, okay, we're going to move Harold to the inside, that left DeMario Tolan kind of like on a whim. It's like, well, I'm not going to play. Let me get out of here. So I just think it's just decisions that they made and they should have made. And look, Matt, I hope I am completely wrong. I hope that they'll be able to rectify this, and if they do keep Harold inside linebacker this year, that he will go on to do great and wonderful things. But from an eye test, from an eye standpoint, I just think his impact will be at that jack linebacker position, using him in stunts. Even last night, they tried to spy a little bit more. But in order to use him as a spy, you have to have other people getting the quarterback out of pocket where he can chase the guy down, and they don't have that right now. So I don't know what they're going to do, but they have to figure it out. They got to figure out sooner than later because the SEC is still no joke. I'm looking at their schedule. Those games are winnable, but every game is a toss-up.
He is Darry Beckwith. Man, Darry, if anything, man, they got a week this week with Grambling to figure it out if they want to tinker a little bit. So see what they elect to do. Great stuff as always, man. He's on Twitter at Darry Beckwith. We always shout out the Darry Beckwith Foundation as well. Darry Beckwith Foundation.org. Is that right, Darry?
That's it. You got it.
All right, Darry Beckwith Foundation.org. Y'all check out Darry's foundation. Do great stuff working with young people in our community. We appreciate it as always. Darry, you're the best, man. Thanks for a couple minutes.
Matt, appreciate it, brother. Have a good one.
Oh, man, you do the very same. Always appreciate some perspective there from Darry. We'll talk more about Perkins because I know a lot of y'all felt very strongly about Perkins, the move. I never felt strongly. I was always like, I understand what they're doing and I trust the coaches. It's hard to argue to the contrary at this point, especially when you hear something like what Darry, who I trust so much, Darry say about that. Like, are you robbing Peter to pay Paul here with Harold Perkins? We'll get into it. Let me knock out a break. We'll come back. We'll go around the SEC. We'll continue next. AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. I was chatting earlier today with Miss Teresa over at Clegg's. And hard to believe, man. Y'all, it's September. I mean, it's September the 4th today. And Clegg's this week is getting their fall decor. They're getting the pumpkins, the hay bales, the scarecrows, the ears of corn, the corn stalks. They're getting all of their fall decor this week. It should be out and ready on display by Friday. We'll keep you posted. But y'all, get those fall vegetable gardens planted. Get those fall bedding plants. The fall decor is coming. I get it. Like, it's 100 degrees and we're still swimming and all, but seasonally, it's fall. I mean, it's September. It's time to start thinking fall. They've got Mobucks, deer feed. They got deer corn, rice bran. They got it all for you at Clegg's Nursery. 4 locations. Buy local, shop local. Tell them I sent you to Clegg's Nursery.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks, all with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come on, in Baton Rouge. I'm ready, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down to
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
It's interesting. A lot of people talked about Keon Coleman. After the game, Brian Kelly had this to say about the Florida State wide receiver.
We knew who he was, and we knew it was a very difficult matchup for us. Excellent ball skills, a matchup, problem for us, and he presented that kind of problem tonight.
I don't know that that this necessarily matters, but we've talked about Keon Coleman. He was a guy. He is a guy from Opelousas who was coming out of Opelousas in the class of 2021, and in that class, if you recall, LSU recruited Brian Thomas, Chris Hilton, Malik Neighbors, Deion Smith, who was the number one player in Mississippi at the time. They had Jack Besh as well, and also Destin Hill, who would have been in the class but got into some trouble and left and then transferred. Is actually is now Florida State. But anyway, and it didn't really allow for LSU to pursue Keon Coleman. Or they made the decision not to offer Keon Coleman. And I think what's so interesting, though, is Coleman tweeted, because this has been a big topic of conversation about him not being offered by LSU coming out of high school, or he went to Michigan State. Like, his offers were, I think he was like heavily thought to go to Tulane, and he had Tulane in Kansas and some other, and he ends up getting a Power 5 offer from Michigan State, went there, and now is transferred to Florida State. Well, he tweeted, and this was yesterday, or I'm sorry, this was today around noon. All these people capping, man. I have nothing against that university, meaning LSU, or their coaches. They tried to get me there out of high school and the transfer portal. I wasn't interested and didn't go there, and didn't want to go there nor stay in the state. Have a great day. So he kind of cleared the air, but what's so interesting is Ross Dellinger has a story up at Yahoo, and Ross caught up with Raven Savoy, who is Keon Coleman's mother, there in the bowels of Camping World Stadium after the game. And Ross is talking to Coleman's mother, and she says, quote, "Oh, it was good, especially against LSU. God is blessing him. God says, make your enemies your footstool. He did it." And essentially, they apparently had the conversation where Coleman wasn't offered. His brother, Kalen, here you go. This is Kendall Coleman's brother. He was really determined. Competing against the home team in front of the whole world against LSU, shit, is kind of how it's exaggerated there. And then goes on. This is another family member who's quoted in the story talking about Coleman. Says he felt slighted. He's got a boulder on his shoulders. I think he wanted to play against LSU. I knew from the time he signed he was looking forward to this game. So, I don't know that it matters necessarily. What's done is done with Keon Coleman now, but what's clear is there's a lot of people around him saying he wasn't offered by LSU. He, in his tweet, says he was, but all the point being, that's a miss. It's a miss. Now, Brian Kelly wasn't the coach when he was coming out of high school, so it was a miss by Ogeron and his staff. Similarly, it's a miss by Brian Kelly and his staff in the portal. Now, Keon Coleman says they recruited him out of high school and out of the portal, and he wanted to leave Louisiana, didn't want to come here. Okay. But the best player on the field is from Louisiana and was wearing red. And that's a problem. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey in Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. That's theantiagingclinics.com. You want to look and feel like your younger self, they can help. The Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. By the way, all this month throughout September, 20% off Pico Way laser tattoo removal. If you got that tattoo that kind of regret, wish you never got, Pico Way laser tattoo removal is the most advanced technology. It's fewer treatments, far more impactful, far more effective, and virtually pain-free. And it's 20% off all this month, the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, online, theantiagingclinics.com. All right, let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solutions. The Alabama Crimson Tide.
Defensive backs Malachi Moore and Jalen Key both day-to-day heading into Saturday's marquee game against Texas. Moore, who's preseason All-SEC, Key honorable mention All-Conference USA at UAB last year. They started against Middle Tennessee, left the game with undisclosed injuries. Tide will be without wide receiver Emmanuel Henderson, who will miss multiple weeks with a hip injury.
The Auburn Tigers.
Hugh Freeze and his staff got a huge commitment on Sunday, one day after the season opening win against UMass. Offensive lineman DeAndre Carter out of Mater Dei there in California. Number 42 overall player in the country, pledged to play at Auburn. He's the top-ranked offensive guard in the class. Picked Auburn over Michigan State and Texas.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
Rinse and repeat. Georgia football staff member Jarvis Jones, who's a former All-American linebacker, you may remember. He was arrested on charges of reckless driving and speeding less than 24 hours before the season opener. Kirby Smart said there will be internal discipline. At least a dozen Georgia football players have been charged with moving violations since the national championship in January. Georgia hosts Ball State on Saturday. All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal and our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products, official office equipment provider of the LSU Tigers, the New Orleans Pelicans, the New Orleans Saints, the ULL Raging Cajuns, and now the Baton Rouge Zydeco, the minor league hockey team. Of course, you need office equipment. You need the best. You need Gulf Coast Office Products. GCOPnet.com. Okay, y'all, let me knock out a quick break, come back, wrap up hour number one. Every Thursday, we do our what to watch for the football weekend. We'll come back on Monday and tell you how those things that we were watching went. So we'll get to that. Peter Burns of the SEC Network in 15 minutes. He'll be part of our Mondays all throughout football season. We're looking forward to that. We got a ton to talk about with LSU and Florida State from every single angle, and we're going to get to all of it over the next 2 hours and 13 minutes. So glad you're here. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com. I tell you all the time, get by Rouse's, whatever you need for this football season. They got it over at Rouse's, and you can save $20 on each of your next 3 curbside pickup orders of $100 or more. Use the promo code SAINTS20. So download the Rouse's app. If you download the Rouse's app and you do your curbside delivery, right? So select all your items. Your personal shopper will go pick it out. You pull up into the spot. They'll bring it out to you. Again, you'll save $20 off your next 3 pickup orders of $100 or more. All you got to do is use the code SAINTS20. That's SAINTS20 on the Rouse's app. Rouse's, of course, is the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Everything you need all tailgate and game watch season, they got it over at Rouse's. The official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's, this feels like home.
At Corvell Toyota in Opelousas, you can lease a new Toyota 4Runner for $489 per month. That's right, you can get a brand new Toyota 4Runner for only $489 per month. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corvell Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Relentless reporting,
gets results.
I'm never going to stop until we get the answers you need.
Uncovering more as the powerful try to cover things up.
What happens in the dark will always come to light.
Founding new principles and practices for the state of Louisiana.
Chief Investigative Reporter Chris Nakamoto.
Chris Nakamoto and the Investigative Unit. Recipients of Columbia University's prestigious DuPont Award.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
I hope you're enjoying your holiday. Thanks for spending part of it with us here. Appreciate our friends at Relief Windows. Disappointing day for the Tigers Sunday night, but a fun weekend of college football. Every Thursday, we always, Paulie, Muse, and I give you our three things that we're watching for over the football weekend. We come back on Monday and we kind of let you know how it went. We're going to get back into LSU and Florida State with Peter Burns right after the top of the hour. But let's do a little what we watched.
We watched. Now let's review.
All right, Muse, what was your first one?
The first one was the Spencer Rattler. I was really interested to see that. He played actually quite well, 350 yards, didn't have a touchdown. Turns out South Carolina's got more problems, like him being sacked 9 times in that ball game.
Yeah. Paulie.
Wow. Coach Prime in his debut.
Oh, who could have seen that coming?
Yeah. Shedeur Sanders threw for over 500 yards.
Saw that, yeah.
Travis Hunter played offense and defense. Coach Prime even asked the reporters after the game if they believe right now.
Yeah, got it. Don't have to ask me. I bet everything I own on them going over 3.5. Try to tell y'all. Oh, no, but I can't say that. I'm bragging. My first was Florida. Are they really that bad? Because I remember we were doing this on Thursday, and they were getting ready for Thursday night game, and we talked about their win total being at 5.5. Like, the Gators. Can the Gators really be that bad? Yes, the Gators can be that bad. And they are.
Was interested in Matt Rule's debut at Nebraska on Thursday night. Wanted to see kind of the fight from the team, the buy-in. The buy-in was there. Defense played pretty well. Their offense is awful, though. 3 interceptions by the quarterback. They got a long way to go. And, hey, they get to go to Boulder this week and face Coach Prime.
How do you think that's going to go?
Yeah. Can I just lay the points now with Colorado?
Oh, it's funny. I'm sort of coming around on Colorado now. Weird. Yeah, Paulie, good.
I was watching my alma mater, but more so for the opponent.
Line up.
Mississippi State. Southeastern kept it close for about a quarter and a half, and then Mississippi State just ran away with it. But it was definitely not the air raid offense. Rule Rogers only passed for like 200 yards, and they ended up running for over 300. So it's definitely not air raid.
I was watching Iowa's offense. Big Ten West, very much wide open. Iowa was the best scoring defense in the country, or there were 6 in the country in scoring defense. They only averaged 17 points a game a year ago, however. They looked good in the first quarter, put up 14 in the first quarter. And they finished with 24. So Iowa still stinks.
Joe Milton wanted to see his debut, I guess re-debut kind of, filling in for our taking over, I should say, for Hendon Hooker. LSU is pretty good. They played Virginia. Virginia stinks. To be determined on that.
I was watching the Alabama quarterbacks. Jalen Milroe got the start, and he impressed. He got 3 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, so he looked pretty good.
Middle Tennessee. And Hugh Freeze's debut. Remember, the UMass got a season-opening win against New Mexico State last week on the road. Auburn hung 52 on them. I don't know. Games like that are weird. I don't think you learn anything about a team when you win like that. You can learn something about a team if they fail to win like that. So, bigger test for Auburn this week. They're going to Cal, all the way out in Berkeley. That'll be an issue. All right, so that's what we learned. Coming up in hour number 3, we'll look at our college football takeaways, bigger takeaways from the landscape of college football. It's After Further Review. Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll get you caught up on national headlines from SportsCenter. When we come back, Peter Burns of the SEC Network will be here. He'll react to the LSU-Florida State game in the SEC weekend. Stay with us, AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service. ShawBillsTire.com on Friday. Went over to Shaw Bills on Burbank. So I had my rear passenger tire was low about 2 weeks ago. So put air in it, and slowly over the course of the subsequent 2 weeks, I kept noticing it was getting low again. So I knew I had a slow leak. So no appointment. You can always get an appointment, but pulled into Shaw Bills right there in Burbank in Baton Rouge. Walked in, said, "Hey, I got a slow leak rear passenger tire." It was about 20 minutes. It was less than 30 minutes. They had me in and out, no charge. When you buy your tires at Shaw Bills, they will always repair your tires free of charge. So walked in, pulled up my car. I've made myself some coffee out of their Keurig, sat there, checked Twitter, did a little work. About 20 minutes later, boom, done. It's Shaw Bills. They treat you like family. ShawBillsTire.com. Shaw Bills, we keep you rolling.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Life in Louisiana is like a run-on sentence. A poem that doesn't rhyme. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
The importance of doing this Fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance shops, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the Fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a Fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. LA police told ESPN Dodgers pitcher Julio Urias, arrested on felony domestic violence charges late last night, released on $50,000 bond today. MLB's investigating the case. Urias is not with the Dodgers. This is his second domestic violence arrest the last 4 years. Fast start for the Rangers today in the opener of a crucial series versus the Astros.
France the pitch, and a fastball is clubbed to right. Going back is Tucker. He looks up. Gone, home run. First pitch ambush. Corey Seager is 27th, and the Rangers strike first.
Roxy Bernstein on ESPN Radio. Texas up 2-0 on Houston, bottom third. Both teams a game back of AL West leading Seattle. Mariners trailing the Reds 5-0, top third. Cubs beat the Giants 5-zip. Justin Steele, 2 hits, 12 Ks and 8. He's tied for the major league lead in wins with 16. Chicago holds the second NL wildcard spot. San Francisco half game out of the final NL wildcard spot. U.S. Open round of 16. Men's 1 seed Carlos Alcaraz with a straight sets victory over Matteo Arnaldi.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman. ESPN Radio has an all-new morning show. It's me, Chris Canty, and Evan Cohen. We get things started Tuesday, September 5th. Tune in 6 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time, weekdays on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
And Mr. Toby Tomplin. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Happy Labor Day. If you have the day off, hope you're enjoying it. Thanks for hanging out with us here while many of us just sort of bask in our misery. Peter Burns, no doubt doing the same thing up there in Charlotte, but good enough to join us as he will Mondays here on AFR during the football season. How are you, dude?
As well as can be expected. I mean, listen, and I tweeted this last night. When you really, like a lot of people are going to say, what about Harold Perkins, about what's going on with Jay Daniels and the play calling. But if you really break it down, the positive is that over the last minute and 15 seconds of the game, LSU outscored FSU 7-0. So I think you got to focus on the positives this morning. I mean, did we lose or did we just run out of time, Moscona? That's what my question is this morning.
I can appreciate your attempt at levity.
You got to laugh at it, man. I mean, this was like in National Lampoon's Vacation, where like you're so excited, you're ready, the car is packed, you drive halfway across the world, you're pumped, you get to Wally World and you realize it's closed. Like that was last night.
So you just gave the G-rated version of what happened last night. On Whiskey and Wine, T-Bob gave the X-rated version of what happened last night. I'm not sure if for those who have not seen, if you did not watch Whiskey and Wine and are not aware of what I'm referring to, I can't say it on radio. It's tweeted and on all the 104.5 ESPN social media. You can go find it. But suffice to say, he compared it to a bedroom issue that might accompany some men. Let's put it to you that way.
Yeah, I mean, FCC-wise, I can't even tell you to check that out, honestly. But listen, was it not the full LSU experience? Like it was the rise and fall, like T-Bob has talked about, of Rome all in one, like the first drive. It is the quintessential LSU football experience. And sadly, it's what, 4 straight times now?
Yeah.
You open up the season with a loss, like just kick myself in the teeth. Jeez.
What part of the game was maybe based on what you expected and what transpired? What was the most surprising or the biggest difference?
A great question. I would say it was the most frustrating part was play calling early, because you felt like, hey, if you can grab the momentum, you can grab them by the throat, like you could take control. Like you plant the flag right in the middle of Orlando and go like, this is LSU football. Because a lot of people will say it was the second half, right, when you got destroyed. And I look at this and I go, well, wait a minute. Like, I've seen a lot of football. You've seen a lot of football. What I saw from FSU in the second half looked like a championship team playing championship football. And trust me, I want to throw up in my mouth when I say that about any FSU team, right? But the way that they looked and how dominant they were, I'm like, I don't mind losing to that team. What I did mind was I felt like when you were the much better team early in that game, you didn't take advantage of it. And that was the biggest disappointment for me.
I know.
Are you in a different spot? Like, what? I mean, there was a long sigh. I wish I saw on.
No, I
television
agree.
right now.
It's like
what,
it's.
what,
The,
what
I
is
mean,
the sigh?
you were better than them certainly for the first 30 minutes. You put up 30 points. The whole half you spent on their side of midfield. You had 2 red zone opportunities where you came away with no points. You got 4 defensive stops. You had an opportunity to do in the first half to them what they did to you in the second half. You didn't take advantage of it. And then they did, and you had costly drops in the second half, and it just sucks. It sucks that it played out that way. So, like, when I look though at I mean, the question here, Peter, is going to be, all right. So for the 4th consecutive year now, LSU's dug themselves in a hole. But what is realistic? Like, when you look at the schedule and what's realistic for this team moving forward, what do you see?
I mean, I still see a team that can win 10 games. Can I? I mean, like, I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, you know what? This is. I mean, this is not Texas A&M last year. I mean, God forbid, I hope it's not. I mean, you know, when they just absolutely fell apart. I mean, I saw a team that's talented. In fact, if I sat there, what's crazy enough us going in, it's all about perspective, right? If I look at the way they played last night versus the way they played in 2022 in that opener against FSU, I'd be like, oh, dude, we're so much better of a team. Like, I mean, we ran into a buzzsaw, and I'm disappointed. But I'm like, this team is further along than they were after the opener in 2022. My question is that they found who they were late into the season, and to a certain extent they took advantage of it. But what happens is that unfortunately, you just squander every bit of good karma and good faith and good mojo that you had when Jaden Daniels crossed the goal line in Baton Rouge on the 2-point conversion, and I'm taking a video of my wife crying in the stands. Right. Like, from that moment to all the way till the halftime kickoff, it was positive mojo around LSU. And how do you not lose that? That's my concern.
He's on Twitter at Peter Burns, ESPN. So do you think? Last one on the LSU game. I want to ask you some other SEC weekend thoughts. Do you think Florida State is the best team LSU will play all year?
Could be close. I mean, like I said, and that pains me because I think Bama. I watch Bama, and it's about what I expected them to be. But they just could carve you up in a bunch of different ways, right? Like when they started deciding that they wanted to run the rock at the start of the second half, they were good. Defensively, the bend don't break was very impressive for them in that first half. And Travis is a dude, man. Like, it would not surprise me between him and having Keon on the outside that this is one of those guys will end up being in New York City for the Heisman. Now, maybe I'm just absolutely marketing the hell out of them because they just beat my favorite team that I live and breathe and die for. But I do think, I mean, they looked every part in that second half of what I've seen dominant teams look like when they end up winning the title. Yeah. By the way, the Harold Perkins thing, we figured that out. Like, is he a spy? Like, was he on a governor switch? How do I digest it? I'm not a media member. I'm asking you. Like, I'm on the therapy couch here. at my house trying to figure the whole Harold Perkins thing out.
So I saw Steve Palazzolo from Pro Football Focus tweeted this. Perkins had a career-high 28 snaps in coverage, and he only rushed the passer 7 times.
Mm-hmm.
Last hour, we had Darry Beckwith here with us, and I like Darry. I don't know if Darry was on the national championship team in 2007.
Yeah.
He was a starter and was a captain and all SEC and all that stuff. So I love to talk to Darry about this sort of stuff, and he's really good at explaining. And his point of view was essentially like it is going to take Harold Perkins a long time to learn how to play off-ball linebacker, and like it's not realistic to expect him to just change positions and be good at it. And his feeling was like when you have a guy that's so disruptive at what he does, let him do the thing he does, because you've got guys like Greg Penn and Weston Whitweeks who can play off ball opposite Omar Spates. So, is it worth transitioning Harold Perkins to this Mike backer spot, this inside linebacker spot, and giving up an elite pass rusher? And the consensus among LSU fans here is hell no. I mean, it's what everybody's screaming. No. PB, I'll tell you, yeah. I was at the point where I didn't have a super strong feeling about it. Like I've seen them transition guys from athletic edge rushers to inside line. They did it with Kendall Beckwith. They did it with Devin White, and it went very well. And it was a transition and a process for both of those guys. And I tended to say, well, I'll trust the coaches. And I'm not super like line in the sand one way or the other against it. For or against it.
Right.
The more I watch it, though, I'm like, your secondary stinks. You've got to be able to affect the passer. Why will you have this elite pass rusher? Let him go rush the passer.
Yeah. Yeah, you're in purgatory. And here's the deal, and I see the flip side of it, right? Like, as frustrated I am about it, the recruiting pitch to come to LSU and the recruiting pitch for Matt House is you come here, I'm going to turn you into an NFL player. You're going to have success here. You're going to make a boatload of money on the next level, right? And Harold Perkins is probably undersized. I don't think he fits as a NFL DN. So if Harold Perkins wants to be a game wrecker on the next level, it's like, hey, we need to teach you this position. But the problem is right now is I for LSU football, while that works to recruit him, LSU football needs a dog. They need 40. They don't need 4 the linebacker. They need 40 to wreck absolute shop. And I just felt bad for him because I'm looking at the body language like this is a guy that's doing everything he can. He's busting his ass to be a linebacker, but he's trying to read and he's not trying to spy. Like, let him go be the dude that LSU needs him to be, not the NFL needs him to be. And that's where I want to see how they progress with him over the next couple of weeks.
He's on Twitter at Peter Burns. ESPN is going to be with us on Mondays here during the football season. While I got you for another minute or so, give me another one. Maybe there's one big takeaway from the rest of the weekend in the SEC. What stood out?
I mean, I'll give you 2. I thought Tennessee was aggressive on both sides of the ball. We always know that they're pretty good offensively, but defensively, I thought they got off the ball. They looked angry. They looked hungry. Like, I was really surprised with that. And listen, the Bobby Petrino thing, week 1, we're in good shape over there in College Station. I mean, like that thing, like I was upset, and I'm not an A&M fan, as you know. I was upset for Aggie fans watching that game and the way they called that offense because I'm like, you should be pissed off if you're a Texas A&M fan of like, why didn't Jimbo do this 4 years ago, right? Like they looked the part. Now, again, it's New Mexico. I get it. But remember the last couple of years, Matt, they've played some bad teams and can't even, hit the broadside of a barn and score against those teams. They look the part, and frankly, they look like the second best team in the SEC West outside of Alabama right now.
LSU will meet A&M in Baton Rouge on Thanksgiving weekend. He's Peter Burns of the SEC Network. Always appreciate it, Pete. Thanks, man.
See you next week, buddy.
All right, man. It's After Further Review. Glad to have Peter with us all throughout the season on Mondays. Let me knock out a quick break. Come back. Brian Kelly. The most notable thing he said after the game was about LSU's collapse. We'll let you hear some more of what Brian Kelly had to say and talk about what it means for LSU and potential championship hopes and all that stuff moving forward. What it means for the season moving forward. A lot to get to. Glad you're here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan, Injury Attorneys. You know where to find him. At Get Gordon on any of the social media platforms, or you can go to getgordon.com. That's getgordon.com. If you've been injured in an accident, it's not your fault. Do it injured people in our state have done for 30 years. Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon's team of attorneys treat you like family. They're all over the state, so no matter where you are, just dial 888-8888. That's 888-8888. Go to getgordon.com. They are closed today for Labor Day in observance of the Labor Day holiday, so they're giving all their employees the day off. But, of course, when they resume normal business hours on Tuesday, if you've been in an accident, you need representation, don't wait. Get Gordon and get it done. Go to getgordon.com. That's getgordon.com, or call 888-8888. That's 888-8888. You know, Gordon's done a great job with the G team and all the NIL deals he's done. Go check out all of his content on social media at Get Gordon. Get Gordon and get it done.
At Corval Toyota in Opelousas, you can lease a new Toyota Camry for $489 per month. That's right, you can get a brand new Toyota Camry for only $489 per month. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
You know, we certainly are not the football team that I thought we were. And, got to do a much better job, obviously, developing our football team. We clearly were short in a lot of areas tonight, and that falls on me to get our football team to be better in most of the competitive areas that you saw tonight.
Brian Kelly after the loss. There's a lot of superlatives for the wrong reasons. LSU's largest defeat as a ranked team in a season opener during the poll era that dates all the way back to 1936. Now, a big part of that, obviously, is many of your season openers are layups. But fourth consecutive season opening loss for LSU. And a lot of people saw it, as we all anticipated. It was going to be a heavily watched game on Sunday. The only game on TV and in a primetime window on ABC. And it was ESPN's best Labor Day Sunday game dating back to 2016. 9.1 million viewers. The Nielsen data is out. 9.1 million viewers. It peaked at 10.3 million. It was 20% higher than last year's game, which came down, of course, to the blocked PAT right at the end. But 9.1 million viewers for LSU and Florida State, and it was the second most watched Labor Day Sunday game on record. So a lot of people got to watch LSU's inefficiency. The comment that Brian Kelly made afterwards about that was probably the most played was play number 2, please, Muse.
Our players have got to make a decision that they have to get back to the practice field and double down on their efforts and their attention to detail and their focus and the things that they need to do as well. But this is a total failure on a coaching standpoint and a player standpoint that, we have to obviously address and we have to own.
So this is a total failure on a player standpoint, a coaching standpoint. I'm at this sort of in-between point with this game where look at the first half and I go, man, this team can be really good. They can be what I and a lot of people thought they could be. LSU put up 300 yards of offense in the first half. You got 4 defensive stops. You lived in Florida State territory. You had plenty of opportunities throughout the first half of the game to build a lead and distance yourself, and you missed those opportunities. And on the flip side, I continue to look at the final stat sheet, and this is so telling. Total yards, 494 to 460, pretty even. Passing yards, 359 to 347, pretty even. Rushing yards, 135 to 113, pretty even. First downs, each team had 22 first downs. Total plays, 66 to 64. Average yards per play, 7.5 to 7.2. Yards per completion, 15 to 15.8. Yards per rush, 4.2. It's astonishing how close the statistics were in this ballgame. The outlier is 3rd and 4th down. Florida State was 9 of 14 on 3rd down. LSU was 3 of 10. Florida State was 1 of 1 on 4th down. LSU was 0 and 3. Look at those plays and what transpired. Florida State's 1 4th down that they converted was on their first possession of the second half. They were around the 40-yard line. They had a beautifully executed play. Hat tip Mike Norvell. Great call by Alex Atkins on the design where Jordan Travis rolls. He dumps it to the back, who cuts up field, and then Harold Perkins suplexes him at the 1-yard line. 41-yard gain. And they're in the end zone a play later. LSU's 3 4th downs, we know the first 2 came in the first half. One of them, the first one was at the 1-yard line, and the second one was in a red zone situation where LSU was stopped on both instances. You got no points. And then the 3rd 4th down was in the 4th quarter when you had to go for it on a 4th and 4, and you came up short. But that illustrates the difference. Florida State, 9 of 14 on 3rd down. LSU was 3 of 10. Look at some of those 3rd downs we discussed, like the first 3rd down of the second half. Florida State ties it at 17 on their first possession. LSU gets the ball back. You convert a first down. You're moving the football. You have a 3rd and 6. right around midfield. Jaden Daniels with a sort of open stance throw, off balance, dart over the middle to Kyron Lacey, who drops the football. Catch that ball, you move the sticks, and if you actually go watch that play, Kyron Lacey might score on it. So that was, I mean, so much of this ball game was, you know, as far as the outcome, was that. Were those moments in the game where you had the opportunity to make those plays on 3rd and 4th down that you didn't make, that they did, and it led to this result. Now, why did they make those plays? Well, their receivers were better than your defensive backs. Your receivers dropped passes in big moments. On the 2nd, 4th down play, both 4th down instances, they put the ball in Jaden Daniels' hand to run some type of zone read concept, and in both instances, your veteran quarterback made the wrong decision, whether to give or to pull. I happened to be listening to Brian Kelly while I was leaving my home driving to Don Juan for the second half, and I listened to Brian Kelly's on-field interview with Gordy on the LSU Sports Radio Network, and Brian Kelly's comment was that we're indecisive. We got to make the right decision on when to give and when to pull and when to, and it hurt. It hurt you on the 4th down plays. The second one in particular. Jaden made the decision to pull, and the end was crashing down. He started to go out, and he saw the defender coming in and decided to cut it back inside. But you got to trust yourself to get to the perimeter, and he didn't. So your inability to convert on those money downs, those 3rd and 4th downs, is what did it in this game for you. So I mean, just massively disappointing because while it's easy to look at the final score and what transpired in the second half and to recognize that you got run. You lost by 3 touchdowns. The flip side of the conversation is if you convert your opportunities in the first half, it's a dramatically different game, but you didn't convert those opportunities. So are you able to the next time you're faced with that type of scenario? And that's ultimately going to be the success or failure of this team. Like, LSU's going to play Grambling this week, and they're going to beat Grambling. They're going to iron out a lot of their instances. They're going to go on the road to Mississippi State, and they're going to be much better than Mississippi State 1-85. And Mississippi State's got a new head coach, and they're working in a new offense, and it's going to look a lot different. But LSU is a more talented team than Mississippi State. They should win that game. They should. You're going to come home and play Arkansas, and you should win that game. Like, you've got these winnable games ahead, and you may really not be truly tested again until Auburn comes here. We'll see what Auburn is year 1 under Hugh Freeze. Or when you go to Alabama. You know, what are you playing for by that point? You know, if you can't get these things right. You know, but I'm going to keep looking also at, and the reason it's hard for me to just sit here today and punt the season and bury the team is because we went through this, like, unfortunately, I've done this same show now 4 straight years where you build up an off season and there's an expectation around the program, and for all good reasons. Like in 2020, you were coming off the Natty. You're coming off the greatest season ever. It was COVID, but it's Miles Brennan's turn finally. And you got Mississippi State coming in with Mike Leach, first-year head coach. You know, you're supposed to run them. KJ Costello. We saw what happened. 2021, it was like, yeah, look, we explained it all the way. It was COVID. It was COVID. It was Bo Pelini. You made the changes necessary. All that stuff. You're going to play UCLA in the Rose Bowl, Pac-12. UCLA had been good forever. You're going to win that game. Well, a veteran UCLA team with a veteran quarterback in DTR exposed you. First-time play caller, guy who hadn't been a defensive coordinator in a decade since 2009. We all know what it was. Anyway, we explained a lot of that stuff away. Same thing last year. Well, Florida State's not any good. LSU's finally got a coach. They made use of the transfer portal. I mean, this is the 4th consecutive year we've had this conversation after the season opener. But the reason it feels differently this year is because it feels like you are a more stable team. It feels like you should have been the better team, and you weren't. So how are they building out this roster is really your big question. Like, is this team, despite its flaws, which clearly were exposed. And honestly, the biggest flaw we knew was the secondary. We knew that was your biggest flaw, and they were exposed. Can they overcome those flaws against lesser teams? Or is everybody going to be able to expose them? Y'all, look, I know there's a lot of people today criticizing Matt House. And I'm not saying Matt House is infallible. I'm not saying don't criticize the defensive coordinator. You gave up 494 yards and 45 points. I get it. But when I looked at Keon Coleman's first touchdown, you had him bracketed with Zy Alexander and Andre Sam. They both missed a tackle. Is that the defensive coordinator's fault? When I look at Keon Coleman's touchdown at the end of the first half, Major Burns is all over him. Kid made a great catch. When I look at Keon Coleman's third touchdown, Deuce Chestnut was running with him. And beautiful throw by a 6-year senior quarterback in the back corner of the end zone, and Coleman made the catch. I mean, at some point, you just acknowledge their receiver, number 4, was awesome. And no matter who you put on him, nobody guarded him. So who else has a Keon Coleman? I don't know. That might be the best receiver you face all year. Is it plausible to say that Jordan Travis is the best quarterback you're going to face all year? I mean, let's look at the other quarterbacks LSU is going to face this season. I don't know who Gramblin's quarterback is. We'll figure that out this week. Who would you take? Jordan Travis or Will Rogers? See, Jordan Travis is a better player. Jordan Travis or KJ Jefferson? Jordan Travis or Jackson Dart? Jordan Travis or Brady Cook? Jordan Travis or Peyton Thorne? Jordan Travis or whoever the Army quarterback is? Jordan Travis, Jalen Milroe, Graham Mertz, whoever's at Georgia State, and Connor Wigman. You probably just saw the best quarterback-receiver combo you're going to face all year. Probably. So how much of a gap is there with Travis and those two dudes from Florida State and whoever that next combo is? That's going to tell you a lot about this LSU defense the rest of the way. If you want to get involved, you can. Let's hear much more from Brian Kelly, Jaden Daniels, Mike Norvell, all that. We'll get to all of it throughout the course of the show. We're halfway home. If you want to join us, you can email us. You can tweet us or X us.
Hey, Twitter. Oh, no, not Twitter. Hey, X world.
Thank you, George Truly. Some levity today is encouraged. You can always text us in the 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. I don't have any more guests the rest of the way, so if you want to get involved, it's a great shot to do it. Let me knock out a quick break. When we come back, we've got updated college football playoff odds, which I know it sounds silly at this point to even have that conversation, but we got to have the conversation, so we'll talk about it when we come back. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by ProCharge EV, ProChargeEV.com, electric vehicle chargers for your home or your commercial building. Would highly recommend. Keep in mind, ProCharge is based in Baton Rouge, but they'll service the entire Gulf South. So even if you're outside of Baton Rouge, it's worth a call to ProCharge. If you have a commercial building, you've got to at least, if you haven't done it yet, at least inquire about EV chargers. There are great grants and government programs that are helping facilitate a lot of this. ProCharge has all that info. They can submit it for you and everything. But the bottom line is, for your customers, an amenity for your employees, if you're at a hotel or an apartment complex, an amenity for your tenants or for your guests, you got to have EV chargers. And ProCharge can help you do it. ProChargeEV.com. Check them out online. Get more info. ProChargeEV.com. ProChargeEV.com.
best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance with the latest in office technology.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
You know, back in July, Brian Kelly gave an interview to Blake Topmeyer. And, Blake Topmeyer writes for, I believe it's Gannett, part of the USA Today network. And Brian Kelly made a comment that we talked about here. I know everybody talked about, but it was a question that he was asked after, of course, Kim Mulkey won the national championship in year 2, and then Jay Johnson wins the national championship in year 2. And so the whole thing was about the expectation for Brian Kelly in year 2, and could you win the national championship? And Brian Kelly was asked that by Blake Topmeyer, and Kelly's answer, I know it was disappointing for a lot of people, but here's what he said. He said, quote, "We need another year of recruiting. One more really good year on both sides of the ball, I think, puts us in a position where I think year 3, the consistency piece, the depth of our program, the messaging, all the things we do on a day-to-day basis, puts us in a position to compete for a championship." So Brian Kelly, back in July, told Blake Topmeyer he needs another year. I didn't listen to him, along with many others, but I'm not worried about many others right now. I'm worried about what I said. Of course, I'll hold myself accountable here. I picked LSU to win the SEC, win the national championship. I'll own that. I'm not going to run from it. So is, incidentally, Blake Topmeyer's on the Feinbaum show right now. And incidentally, Feinbaum was on ESPN's morning radio show reacting to the LSU loss. And here's what he said about the Tigers' title chances.
Here's the hard part for LSU. Guess what they have to do the rest of the way? Run the table, and that includes a win over Georgia, because they're not getting in the playoff with 2 losses.
There's never been a team make the college football playoff with 2 losses. That much we know. And LSU almost did it a year ago. But let me rephrase that. LSU would have had a chance to do it had they beaten A&M and then gone to the national championship and had they beaten A&M, gone to the SEC championship as a 2-loss team and beaten Georgia. Had LSU been able to do that, then yes, you would have been looking at a team that likely would have gotten in as a 2-loss team. For what it's worth, LSU's national championship odds right now are at plus 3,500. They share the same odds as Washington and Oregon, for what it's worth. Tennessee's at plus 3,000. They're off a win. Texas A&M is at plus 5,000. Oklahoma at plus 5,000. So my point is, Utah plus 6,000. My point is, LSU still has better odds than Oklahoma, Utah, Wisconsin, Washington. They got the same odds as Oregon and Washington, are just behind Tennessee and Notre Dame's at plus 2,800. So what that illustrates, well, yes, they're very long odds. What it illustrates is they're still looking at LSU as a team that's a threat because LSU still got talent and they're still capable of winning out. They're capable of that. I'm not saying they will, but they're capable of that. Brian Kelly, after the game, was asked what this loss means for his team and his program moving forward.
It means everything as to what our mindset is. Like, how do we handle this? Is this who we want to be? Or do we look at this and say, this isn't the kind of football team we want to be? You know, when you have these kinds of losses, they're disappointing, and in some instances, they're devastating losses, but it's how you respond to them. And they have a chance to respond to this very disappointing performance in the second half. And so the choices they'll have to make will be ones that start tomorrow. How they handle themselves 24/7 is really what I'll be interested in seeing.
I know there's like this collective eye roll and sigh when you talk about the playoff or championship, things like that at this point, because you go and lose a game in the manner in which you did. But again, we looked at this a year ago through the same lens. LSU lost by a point a year ago to Florida State. That loss, though, was like LSU was dramatically worse in the game a year ago than they were in the game on Sunday night against Florida State. Just as far as who they were, LSU could move the ball a year ago. They put up 460 yards of offense in this game. I went through the championship odds, for LSU right there. While I know they're not great, what we saw from LSU a season ago was a team that continued to improve from the Florida State game on. And maybe Brian Kelly, what he said in July, was 100% spot on, that he needs another year. And what he needs primarily, and what he needs obviously right now, is defensive backs. And when I look at this recruiting class right now and where you're going to get them, your highest rated commitment is Deshaun McBride, who's a safety out of Denham Springs. Your second highest rated commitment is Kai Bates, who's a cornerback out of Orlando, Florida. Your two highest rated commitments right now are DBs, which you clearly need a lot of help. You've also got Juwan Johnson committed, who's a cornerback out of Louisiana. You've got Joel Rogers committed, who's a safety out of Louisiana. You've got Andre Evans committed, who's a cornerback out of Nashville. You got Wallace Foster committed, who's a cornerback out of Warren Easton down in New Orleans. So they're addressing defensive back, which obviously they have to, as they continue to rebuild the roster and build it toward next year. But it's very obvious that that's the spot right now where you are most efficient. You try to address it through the transfer portal, but what showed its head on Sunday night is got a kid from Southeastern, a kid from Syracuse, a kid from Marshall, all playing in your secondary. And that's not going to be good enough to face the best offenses in the country. I think we knew that. That doesn't, and for this year, it just means you're going to have to score and outscore teams. But to get back to a championship level, you'll have to address that. I think Brian Kelly knows it. See if they continue to do it. All right. You still have Tigers in the pros coming up to wrap up the hour next. Coming up after the top of the hour, I do want to look at LSU and the way these schedules with these season openers are going. Because for me, I have long been an opponent of playing week 0. And I think the more and more information we have, the more and more it shows that's something LSU not only needs to consider, it's something they need to do. So we'll get to that coming up after the top of the hour. All right, let me knock out our final break here of hour number 2. We'll do Tigers and the pros next.
AFR.
So I woke up yesterday, and my house was warm. AC was not working. This is honest to goodness. This happened, and it happened while I was doing Morning Scone. So if you don't believe me, you can go watch Morning Scone from Sunday and see that this actually transpired. I called River City's 1 Hour Air about 9:20 on Sunday morning. Got an answer from a human immediately. Emily was her name who answered the phone. You're not calling an answering service. They actually have a human who answers the phone, not a computer. She said we could get someone out to you between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. I said, absolutely, need someone out here. She said, if we get a technician earlier, we'll send them your way. About 10 minutes later, she called back. Hey, we have someone ready to come to your house if you can come now. Absolutely. Within 30 minutes of my initial call, I had a technician at the house. They figured out our issue, got us up and running. It's River City's 1 Hour Air, 752-0001.
Relentless reporting gets results.
I'm never going to stop until we get the answers you need.
Uncovering more as the powerful try to cover things up.
What happens in the dark will always come to light.
Founding new principles and practices for the state of Louisiana.
Chief Investigative Reporter Chris Nakamoto.
Chris Nakamoto and the Investigative Unit. Recipients of Columbia University's prestigious DuPont Award.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
after further review with Matt Moscona. Presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
Wrapping up hour number 2. Muse will have Tigers in the Pros in just a second. Remember our friends over at DraftKings got Clemson and Duke tonight. Week 1 finishes tonight. We keep reminding you, of course, college football is upon us. You can make a $5. New customers, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. Make a $5 college football bet. They'll instantly give you $200 in bonus bets at the DraftKings Sportsbook. The NFL season is upon us, y'all. It is opening night of the NFL this Thursday. Great deal. Of course, new customers download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Make that $5 bet on Thursday Night Football this Thursday and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Everyone, of course, can participate with stepped-up same-game parlays. And remember, every single day they've got new bets as well, new wagers for new customers. So make sure you log in every single day. Opt in for the DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Bet on Clemson and Duke tonight. $5 bet on any college football game for new customers. They'll give you $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. 21 and older, physically present in Louisiana. Select parishes only. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football. Terms. Licensed partner Golden Nugget Charles. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-426-2537. All right, Muso has Tigers in the Pros.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
Kevin Gausman was on the bump yesterday for the Toronto Blue Jays. One of the shorter outings of the year for Gausman. Just 4 innings. Did give up 3 earned runs in that one. Also walking at 3 in the ballgame. Lasted just 67 pitches. Did, however, register the 5 Ks. It was a no decision for Kevin Gausman as the Blue Jays ended up coming back from the deficit and winning that ball game. Alex Lang picked up save number 21 on the season yesterday. Pitched a shutout 9th inning, allowing 1 hit and walking 1, but outside of that, really pounded the strike zone. 9 strikes out of his 13 pitches. It's been a really solid year. The 21 saves is one thing, but 3.79 ERA goes a long way in the major leagues. Alex Bregman yesterday, 2 for 4 in the ballgame. Both of those were singles. Did come around to score a run. They were facing the Yankees. DJ LeMahieu, 1 for 1 RBI and a run scored. 19th double of the year for DJ. Bregman, for what it's worth, off to a hot start today as well.
Yeah, I got it right here. Look, check it out. Just single up the middle.
Yeah, right there. He's 2 for 2 with a couple RBI is Bregman. So Labor Day baseball, big Labor Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July, all those big matinee days of baseball. And Bregman off to a hot start today. To the minor leagues, Hunter Fiducia last night. Yeah, Hunter Fiducia.
It's my guy.
Yeah, that's your guy.
Big Hunter Fiducia fan right here.
Had a great tenure as the LSU catcher back in the day. Matt remembers it fondly.
Yep. Dynamite.
1 for 4 yesterday with this bomb to center field.
Just like he used to do at the box.
Just like he used to do at the box. Look, we're looking at about 415 feet there for Fiducia. It was his only hit of the day, but made that one count. 283 in AAA. Really solid year.
Never doubted him for a minute, Muse.
You trying to convince me? I'm aware of this.
My guy.
I said, Matt, you know what level Hunter Fiducia's at in the minor leagues? You said, I do. He's in AAA about to get called up. That's not true, actually. Matt said, I don't even know who that is.
That's not true. Liar. Lies!
But now he's come around a lot.
Lies!
A lot on Hunter Fiducia. We'll wrap things up with Todd Peterson.
Todd Peterson
records save number 8 last night for the Wilmington Blue Rocks. 1 shutout inning of worked, walked 1, struck out 2, 4.64 ERA, and 8 saves for Todd Peterson.
Todd Peterson.
And that's Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, LMFJ.com, where Baton Rouge and all of Louisiana has gone to get engaged for more than 30 years. You can log on to LMFJ.com. Gentlemen, thrill her with a gift in the red box. 2 locations in Baton Rouge, corporate in Bocage, Mall of Louisiana, New Orleans, Lake Charles, Shreveport, and online at LMFJ.com. LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Yeah, Hunter Fiducia, long-time supporter here.
No.
I mean, look, you sat here and denied my guy, my love for my affection for my guy Cooper Rush for a long time. Cooper Rush and I go way back.
No, you don't.
Way back.
Liar.
Born in Charlotte, Michigan.
Liar.
November 21st, 1993.
You can easily look that up on the Google machine.
You could. But I don't need to.
Liar.
All those stellar days at Central Michigan between 2012 and 2016.
Look, fire up chips, but liar.
Wept when he went undrafted in 2017. But you know what I said, Muse? I said, this is the Coop that I know.
Hey, pick your head up, Cooper. It's going to be fine.
This is the Coop that I know. He's going to fight, scratch, and claw. That's what he did. That's what Hunter Fiducia is doing right now, Muse.
Yeah.
That's what Hunter Fiducia is doing. All right. It's after further review. Thanks for being here with us. I do want to talk about the quarterbacks, but both of them. And, yes, I largely want to avoid – personally, I would love to avoid the absurd argumentative nature of the Jaden Daniels, Garrett Nussmeier thing. But when LSU loses a game, that's going to pop up. So I'll give you some thoughts on it. I'm sure you know. We'll come back after SportsCenter AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Mold Zero. Mold-0USA.com. Long name, I know, but it's worth remembering. If you can't remember it, shoot me a text or a tweet or a message just asking, hey, Matt, what's the mold? A lot of you do. What's the mold company you talk about? It's Mold Zero. Mold-0USA.com. The reason Mold Zero is a superior product, several. Number one, it's a patented non-toxic dry fox. You're not spraying toxins into your home, number one. Number two, it's less invasive. So they're not cutting sheetrock or pulling back carpet or anything like that. They come in and they literally just spray their fog. And because it's fog, it gets into every single nook and cranny. So no matter where the mold or the harmful pathogens may be, that mold's going to get it. It's going to kill it. It's going to make your home, your office, the church, school building, whatever it is, a safer, cleaner place. It's Mold Zero. And it's quicker, it's more effective, and it's more cost-effective as well. Mold-0USA.com. Check them out online, learn more. Mold-0USA.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast office products.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. LA police told ESPN Dodgers pitcher Julio Urias, arrested on felony domestic violence charges late last night, released on $50,000 bond today. MLB is investigating the case. Urias is not with the Dodgers. This is his second domestic violence arrest the past 4 years. Major League history today for Seattle's Julio Rodriguez.
Here's the stretch and the 1-0 to Julio, swinging a fly ball deep into the gap in right center field, and it is gone. He's just made Major League history. Julio Rodriguez, 25 for 25. That's his 25th home run of the year.
The call on Seattle Sports Radio 710 AM. Rodriguez, first player ever with at least 25 home runs and 25 stolen bases in each of his first 2 big league seasons. Seattle does trail Cincinnati 5-2 bottom 6. Astros have rallied from a 3-0 deficit. They lead the Rangers 5-4 bottom 6. Texas and Houston trail AL West, leading Seattle by a game. U.S. Open round of 16, men's 1 seed Carlos Alcaraz, a straight sets win over Matteo Arnaldi.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman. ESPN Radio has an all-new morning show. It's me, Chris Canty, and Evan Cohen. We get things started Tuesday, September 5th. Tune in 6 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time, weekdays on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt!
Shut up, kid. I'm not in the mood. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Muse. Oh. And Mr. Toby Tomlin. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time for those of you who had to work, but it's Labor Day, so many of you aren't. But thanks for hanging out with us here. You are driving home. Drive home safe. 15 minutes. Let me come back to the Week 0 thing. I want to talk about the quarterback play. I know as we start this that there are those of you who completely disagree with me on the quarterbacks. There's those of you who very much agree with me on the quarterbacks, and most of you will not have your mind changed no matter what. So I understand that part of this is just obligatory. I've got to sit here and talk about quarterbacks because it's a thing a lot of you are talking about. And I tell you often, I don't do this show for me. I do the show for you. I talk about the things that you are talking about, you want to talk about, you want to hear about. When T-Bob and I were doing Whiskey and Wine, there were a lot of people who were criticizing Jaden Daniels. I am unemotional about it anymore. Like, I'm not moved. I understand that there are those of you who want Garrett Nussmeier to be the quarterback. There are those of you who want Jaden Daniels to be the quarterback. And if you are firmly entrenched on either side of that, nothing can happen that's going to change your mind. You have drawn that line in the sand. You are someone who is now looking for an affirmative piece. We talked about this a lot during the LSU baseball season, where there were people who were convinced the bullpen sucks, and every time they blew a save or someone gave up a hit, it was just affirming your point, and you ignored anything to the contrary. You got to look at a big picture, a bigger sample. At least I do, and I will. So I understand. There's some of you that don't want Jaden Daniels to be the quarterback. I get it. And nothing I say here is going to change your mind. But let's just go through what transpired on Sunday night. First of all, here was Jaden after the game taking responsibility for the struggles in the second half.
I mean, everything falls on me. What Coach was talking about, the urgency and the choices that we make. I mean, he's right.
everything that falls back on me. Being the leader and the quarterback of the team, I got to get the guys going. I got to set the urgency. I got to set the tempo. First half, we had that. We got to finish the drives that we had in the red zone. That set us back a little bit. But coming out of halftime, it starts with me and getting the guys going. And that first drive, I felt like we had some urgency. But in critical moments, I got to get the guys going. I got to set the tempo. I got to be able to push those guys because everybody's looking at me and how I maneuver day in and day out on a daily basis. I got to go back to the drawing board as a leader and see what can I do better to get this team also more prepared on a day-to-day basis.
I can certainly respect him taking ownership. He's a fifth-year senior. He's the quarterback. He's the veteran. He's the leader. You own the mistakes. It's going to play well in the locker room. I get it. First play that LSU had in the second half, Jaden Daniels, they ran the zone read. He ran for 15 yards. Beautiful play. Then he threw a complete pass to Malik Neighbors for 9 yards. Then to Mason Taylor on the right side, Mason Taylor on the left side for 8 yards, and you're moving. You're moving. Trey Bradford, 4-yard run. You throw a screen pass to Malik Neighbors. He's tackled at the line of scrimmage. You got 3rd and 6. Beautiful play design. No, I'm sorry. Yes, you got 3rd and 6 right now, and you're at the 47-yard line. You're right at midfield. You're at the Florida State 47. And Jaden Daniels being pressured, he rolls, and he throws the ball over the middle, and it hits Kyron Lacey in the hands, and he drops it. His 3rd drop of the day. For those who are going to criticize Jaden Daniels, the thing that I'll say and continue to say is, show me where, when this team stalled, he needed to be better. You're in a tie ball game. You have a chance to go retake the lead. Remember, at this point, 2-minute offense, you've dominated the first half. You run the 2-minute drill to perfection. You get the field goal. You're up 3. Florida State gets the ball to start the second half. You came up with 4 consecutive stops in the first half before Florida State tied you at 14. You get the field goal to go up 17-14. Your defense holds them to a field goal to start the second half. You're tied. You're moving the ball. You're into Florida State territory. Beautiful pass by Jaden. Drop. Okay. You give Florida State the ball. They go score. Now they're up 24-17. We saw this in the first half. You move the ball. You stall out at the goal line. Unfortunately, they get the ball. They go score. You're down 7-0. Your response, boom, right down the field, and you score an equalizer. It felt like you could exhale at that point. So it's like, okay, go do it again. Go do exactly what you did in the first half. First down, boom, 13 yards to Malik Neighbors. Then Jaden gets sacked. They run Josh Williams for 3 yards. It's 3rd and 11. They're offsides. 3rd and 6. Beautiful play design. They have Mason Taylor dragging across. They roll Jaden. He hits Mason Taylor, first down. You're at the 48-yard line. You're just shy of midfield. And you go tempo, and you get up, and you throw a deep ball down the left sideline to Brian Thomas, who's open, and he drops it. And I know some of you are going to say, well, he needs to lead him. He needs to put It's a scholarship receiver. Catch the ball. On Florida State's first possession of the game, Jordan Travis had Johnny Wilson, a 6'7" receiver, open over the middle, and he threw it low and away at his knees. You know what Wilson did? It was on 3rd down, by the way. He caught the ball for 12 yards and moved the chains. Catch the ball. Catch the ball, and now you have a goal to go. He either scores or you have a goal to go situation to start the 4th quarter to go tie the game. Instead, that's the last play of 3rd quarter. You go to the 4th quarter. First play of the 4th quarter, Malik Neighbors falls down. Interception. Florida State capitalizes. You're down 14. And for all intents and purposes at that point, the game was over. Here was Jaden Daniels on that interception after the game.
Malik just slipped. I mean, it is what it is. He slipped, lost his footing. A DB made a play, caught the interception, turned his head, and it's something that we just gotta live and die with. It was football. Somebody's gonna slip and fall. The DB's gonna make a play, but after that, it's how did we respond back to that? And we didn't respond back in the right way.
So you're down at that point after they scored. You're down 31-17. You're down 14 points, and you never got going again. You had to go for it on a 4th down. You didn't convert. They scored, and the game was over. I know there's people who are going to say, why not Nussmeier? I want to be clear again because I know there are people who will think this is coming across as anti-Garrett Nussmeier, which I'm not. I think Garrett Nussmeier is a very talented player, and I think when his opportunity comes, I hope he's very, very good for LSU. If I'm just looking objectively at your two quarterbacks right now based on what we saw on Sunday, putting Garrett Nussmeier into the game into that game would have been an awful idea. Jaden Daniels' ability to run the football is a neutralizer whenever the offensive line isn't blocking and when you have no running game. If LSU had a great wall of China in front of the quarterback, this is a different conversation because you could establish the run to take pressure off the quarterback and you could protect the quarterback. The offensive line, which my hand's in the air, we all praised, allowed 5 TFLs, 4 sacks, and 2 quarterback hurries. Your running game, outside of Jaden Daniels, who was your leading rusher, 15 attempts for 64 yards, and that's not even sack adjusted. That's after the yardage he lost on sacks, which was 26 yards. So really, if you take away the sack yardage, Jaden Daniels actually ran for 90 yards in the game. Anyway, your running backs in the game, outside of the draw in the 2-minute drill from Josh Williams, which you can't take away, it's part of the running game. But when you tried to establish the run between the tackles, your running backs had 11 carries for 14 yards. Garrett Nussmeier would have been a sitting duck with no running game and a leaky offensive line. And oh, by the way, in his career, he's known to be a turnover-prone guy. Garrett Nussmeier in his career has 6 interceptions in 141 attempts. Jaden Daniels a year ago had 3 interceptions in 388 attempts. So Garrett has twice the number of interceptions in half the number of attempts. Why would you put that guy out there in that spot? A guy who's turnover prone against a defense with a veteran defensive line who's bringing a ton of pressure, and you have no running game to support him. And he's not the guy, the runner that Jaden is dynamically that can make you pay if you bring pressure and don't get home. So, no. There was no reason to play Garrett Nussmeier in that game last night. And there's not going to be any reason to play Garrett Nussmeier all season unless, I'm going to keep saying this, unless Jaden Daniels is injured, God forbid, or like what you're going to be against Grambling, up 5 touchdowns. So I don't think that this conversation right now is going to convince any of you. Okay, just to be very clear, I know there's a lot of you listening right now who want Garrett Nussmeier to be the quarterback. And I'm telling you, that's not going to happen. And I also understand that me saying this is not going to convince you. I understand that. But hopefully you could at least look objectively and see why the problem last night, the problem in the loss to Florida State, wasn't the quarterback. He was one of the things you have go really good for you last night. He ran the ball effectively. He threw for 347 yards. And I know 75 of it came on the one pass to Brian Thomas at the end. Okay. Well, then go look at Jordan Travis in his last 2 drives in the fourth quarter when the game was over and take those away as well. You can't. It's how the game plays out. So however you want to look at it, the bottom line is you had great opportunities in the first half. You didn't capitalize. You had an opportunity to give yourself distance and build a lead in the first half and put pressure on them the way they did you late in the third quarter into the fourth quarter, and you missed your opportunities. So next time the opportunity presents, capitalize. We'll see if they can. But they're going to do it with Jaden Daniels as their quarterback. All right. It's after further review. Certainly not a fun day, but it's what it is. We're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com, southpointvw.com. You can always get on by South Point Volkswagen. Go test drive a brand new V-Dub. Airline just north of Highland. Of course, if you're in Lafayette, they've got Southwest Volkswagen there as well. Lafayette, Lake Charles, and the southwest part of our state. We appreciate our friends at South Point Volkswagen. They always got great deals. They move more inventory than any other Volkswagen dealer. So if you're in the market for a vehicle, why would you go anywhere else other than the Volkswagen dealership that sells more V-Dubs than anyone? It's South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland or southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? Should LSU start playing a game on week 0? Got some thoughts, and I've changed my mind on this. That's next. It's AFR.
AFR.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks, all with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
after further review with Matt Moscona. Presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
Sometimes when you get more information on something, you change the way you feel about something. And I think about this sometimes like with dating. You know, you can date someone and maybe be in love with them, and then the more you date them, the more you get to know them, the more you realize there are like irreconcilable differences, and you could change the way you feel about someone. Happens every day in our world. I've gotten more information about, I feel like now with a larger sample, about these season openers in the kickoff classics and the necessity of playing a week 0 game or anything like that. In this case, this was a big conversation a year ago because Florida State played a week 0 game against Duquesne and LSU did not play a week 0 game. And when LSU lost that game, it was evident that they really could have benefited from a week 0 game. You could have learned that Garrett Dellinger should not have been your starting center. You could have learned more about who should have been playing cornerback for you or linebacker. Mike Jones started the opener at linebacker with Greg Penn at inside backer last year against Florida State. Jark Bernard-Converse did not start at corner for you. It was Colby Richardson and Mekhi Garner. Point is, you play a game, you learn about your team, and you adjust. And my point had been forever about the week 0 thing. I mean, we saw LSU for this long stretch never lose an opener. They lost 2002 in Blacksburg against Virginia Tech and didn't lose a season opener again until the game at Lambeau in 2016. So, and they played really good teams. 2007, you opened up with a conference game against Mississippi State. 2009, you opened up in Seattle against Washington. 2010, you opened up in Atlanta against North Carolina. And that was a North Carolina team, if you remember, that had a ton of pros on it. It was all recruited by Butch Davis. Now, a lot of them got suspended right before the game. But 2011, Oregon, we all remember that one. 2013, you opened up in Fort Worth against TCU. 2014, you opened up in Houston against Wisconsin. You remember 2016 was Lambeau's the one you lost. But point is, you won all those games up until the Lambeau loss. And so my feeling was always, you don't need a tune-up game. Look at all the ones LSU's won over the years. Just be ready to play. But we've seen now 4 consecutive years LSU lose their season opener. And it is crystal clear, or should be, it is to me anyway, that there is a distinct advantage of playing that tune-up game. I remember 2007, you opened up on the road against Mississippi State, but the marquee game was week 2 against Virginia Tech at home, and you blew the doors off them. Was it 45-7, whatever it was? And it helped having played already once. What's the old adage, right? The old axiom in football, the biggest improvement week 1 to week 2. I'm not telling you that if LSU had played Grambling in week 0, LSU beats Florida State. I don't know. It's impossible to know that. And look, if LSU had played Grambling in week 0, you would have had Mason Smith available for the Florida State game, presumably. But it is certainly logical to think you could run out there and figure some things out. For example, Brian Kelly, when he talked about moving Sage Ryan to corner, I'm not picking on Sage Ryan, I'm just pointing out something we talked about this offseason. What Brian Kelly said, whether he liked Sage Ryan at corner, was because his ability to tackle, right? Do you remember the first play of the game defensively for LSU? The first play of the game? Florida State threw a screen, and Sage Ryan missed a tackle. Play went for 5 yards. The guy who was in there because of his ability to tackle was then taken out, and Deuce Chestnut replaced him. And Chestnut played well in the first half. He came up with an interception and a couple pass breakups. Second half, he got abused. Not saying it would have made a difference, but you would have known who your guys were. Would it have helped Harold Perkins if you're committing to playing him off ball? to have had a game against Grambling to see and learn a little bit before you had to go up against a bunch of senior offensive linemen and a sixth-year senior quarterback and a really good tight end in Jaheim Bell and all those receivers? Like, would it have helped Perkins improve? Or maybe the coaching staff to know, even if Perkins had struggled against Grambling, maybe this ain't what we need to do against Florida State. That sample size would have helped. So, yeah, the more we've seen of this, and I was on the other side. I've changed my mind. I was, when a lot of you last year were saying Florida State played Duquesne, LSU's got to play week 0, I was like, yeah, you don't need to play week 0. You just need to be ready to play week 1. We got this large sample size of LSU winning these big-time openers. Just be ready to go. I've changed my mind on that. There is it's clear now how much you would have benefited from having another opportunity to go out there. Look, LSU next year is opening up in Las Vegas on Labor Day weekend on that Sunday, same spot, against USC. Now, Southern Cal isn't going to have Caleb Williams. We all presume he's going to go pro. But it's still Lincoln Riley, who's going to be working in a new quarterback, who I presume is going to be a talented guy that can sling the ball and have good receivers and all that sort of stuff. And LSU is going to have the challenge of going out to Vegas to take on Southern Cal. And I don't want to see LSU lose their 5th straight opener. So I would love to see the LSU powers that be, like today, petitioning the NCAA to play Nichols in week 0. Because you play on Sunday, it's a short week. LSU has scheduled its FCS opponent in week 2. Like last year, it was Southern. Next year, they've got Nichols. This year, it's Grambling. Next year, it's Nichols. LSU needs to be on the phone now, calling Nichols to say, we want to play you in week 0, not in week 2. And you give yourself an extra bye. You'll play USC week 1, you'd have a bye week 2, and then you go on and play your schedule the rest of the way, and you just have a second bye because you play week 0, and you have a bye the Saturday after you play on a Sunday against Southern Cal. I'm not sure that... Now, to be clear, you can't just change the schedule. In order to play week 0, you've got to petition the NCAA. And there's 2 reasons why. Number 1 is TV, and number 2 is the Hawaii rule. If you got to go play Hawaii in week 0, or if you go play Hawaii they'll let you play week 0 because of all the travel. So like Vanderbilt played Hawaii last year in Hawaii, they played in Nashville this year, week 0. So, and then obviously Vanderbilt this week played an FCS opponent in, I believe it was Alabama, A&M. But anyway, you're not going to have Hawaii on the schedule next year, but you have an FCS opponent, and maybe you could petition the NCAA to say, hey, look, we're willing to play week 0 for a TV game. Let's go do it before you play Southern Cal. At this point, that feels like a no-brainer. Give your team an opportunity for a dress rehearsal before you go to Las Vegas and play Southern Cal next year. Because quite honestly, I don't want to be sitting here on Labor Day next year doing the same damn show for a 5th consecutive year of LSU losing a season opener. So see, I can admit, I can be convinced sometimes of certain things. All right, we're brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center. I see that perfectly, and it's not because I had LASIK. Although I see TV and everything else perfectly because I did have LASIK with the Williamson Eye Center. Call 924-2020, Dr. Blake Williamson, 924-2020 or WilliamsonEye.com. That's WilliamsonEye.com. If you want to see 2020, call 924-2020. Set up that consultation with Dr. Blake Williamson. Let him answer your questions. Let him do for you what he did for me. Let him answer your questions and put any concerns you may have at ease. That's one of the best things I did was go for that consultation with Dr. Blake Williamson because I explained to him all of the concerns I had for LASIK. Is it safe? Does it wear off? All those things that people ask about LASIK. And I realized, man, this is easy. Best decision you could have made. Call 924-2020 for the Williamson Eye Center. 924-2020 or WilliamsonEye.com. All right, y'all. It's After Further Review. We're glad you're hanging out with us here on this Labor Day edition. If you're watching on YouTube, thanks so much. Please smash that like button and subscribe up to the channel. Shout out to everybody watching on WBTR. We appreciate our TV partner over at WBRZ having us on TV on WBTR. It's Cable 19 in Baton Rouge every single day. And, of course, our affiliates, New Orleans, Alexandria, Lafayette, Lake Charles. For those listening online, streaming us, we always appreciate you for being here every day, even on Labor Day. And one thing that I'm quite confident is that next Monday when we're here, it's going to be a much happier day because LSU will play Grambling on Saturday, and Tigers should win. The LSU Tigers should win that one. We'll have more of a feel-good in the belly. The Saints do play, however, on Sunday against Tennessee, so they could potentially put half a damper on next Monday, but we'll see. All right. Tomorrow we'll be back with a sort of a more normal day. The Saints had the weekend off. They were back on the practice field today. So tomorrow, but this was all an LSU Florida State recap. Tomorrow we'll get back to our regular football week schedule. Brian Kelly meets with reporters tomorrow. He did not have his media press conference today because of travel. So Brian Kelly press conference is tomorrow. So we'll have all that for you and everything as we put to bed the Florida State game and LSU starts to move forward and the Saints move into their game week with the Titans. Okay, let me knock out a quick break. Come back. We'll do our college football takeaways, the three biggest takeaways that Muse, Paulie, and I had from the college football weekend. We get the Otter Locks in about 15 minutes. Got a big one tonight with Clemson and Duke. Excited about that to put a button on this opening weekend of college football. Glad you're hanging out with us. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
And a big shout-out to Chef Jason Hebert over at Tallulah inside the Renaissance Hotel. Last week, the Epicurean Society had their Fête Rouge event, where it's a wine and blind tasting for wine, and then blind tasting and all for food as well. Chef Jason Hebert at Tallulah won the gold medal at Fête Rouge. I've told y'all, Tallulah it's not a hotel restaurant. It's not just like a buffet line and stuff like that. It is a casual, upscale dining experience, chef-curated menu. It is awesome. Go try the pork chop. The $10 hamburger is the best hamburger you'll ever eat. It's a gourmet hamburger for $10. It's a great lunch special if you want to go check it out. Tallulah inside the Renaissance Hotel, open every single day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Again, major congrats to Chef Jason Hebert and the folks over at Tallulah for winning the gold medal at Fête Rouge last week. It's the Renaissance Hotel and Tallulah inside the Renaissance.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come on, live Baton Rouge. I'm ready, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down the
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
We appreciate our friends over at Relief Windows. Of course, not only windows, doors, siding, but also shutters as well. They introduced that product. So if you want those indoor shutters, nobody better than Relief Windows, reliefwindows.com. All right, we'll get to Otter Locks here in about 15 minutes from right now. We'll look forward to Jimmy being here. We'll see if he's got a pick on Clemson and Duke. Remember, Phil Steele was here on Friday. Phil liked Clemson laying the 13. So that was one of his better bets of the weekend. So we'll see what Phil Steele has for us. Or excuse me, we'll see what Jimmy has for us in less than 15 minutes from right now. Okay, something that we'll do every Monday is our college football takeaways from the weekend. Just as a refresher, so on Thursday, Muse, Paulie, and I will do our what to watch for the football weekend. Not just college, but there was no NFL this weekend. We'll reset that on Monday, and then we'll also have our college football takeaways, 3 each for each of us. And let's do that right now.
Another week in the books. What did we learn about the landscape of college football?
Well said, Chris Elliott. What did we learn about the landscape of college football? Muse, what did you learn?
I learned the Big Ten might actually really need to look out for Penn State this week. This year, excuse me, yeah. West Virginia, I get it. Neil Brown, hot seat, all that stuff. But, man, Drew Aller looked pretty darn good in his first start for Penn State. Only had 8 balls hit the ground, 325 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Schedule's pretty manageable for them, too. They do have to go to Ohio State, but Iowa, Michigan, all at home in Happy Valley. Maybe we need to keep a close eye on Penn State.
Maybe so. Paulie, what did you learn?
I learned that Florida State is for real.
Shut up, Paul.
We don't
Next.
need to recap what happened. We all saw it. But I think they are a legit contender in the ACC.
Did you see Travis Hunter's Heisman odds?
I didn't. Oh, Lord.
So, when the game started, and like, I don't need to, y'all know how I feel about Colorado. Okay. So I was very invested, like financially invested in Colorado's win against TCU, and I feel really good about the overplay, now over 3.5. As I think you would agree, I should feel really good. You think, Muse, you think there's 3 more wins on that schedule?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. Travis Hunter, at the beginning of the game, did not have Heisman odds on DraftKings. I even tweeted, like, at DraftKings, like, hey, friends, can we get some Heisman odds here for Travis Hunter? Well, during the game, they put up his Heisman odds at plus 8,000. I immediately bid. I immediately made a play. As the game went on, the odds went to from plus 8,000 to plus 5,000. They presently rest at plus 3,000. Now, he's a long shot. Clearly, he's a long shot, okay? I understand. But what it takes to win the Heisman is you have to put up stats, you have to be on a good team, and you have to be notable. And you better believe all season long, everybody going to be watching Colorado. They are an undeniable, they are must-see TV. And Travis Hunter playing both ways is a total throwback. 120 snaps, whatever it was.
129.
I mean, when 100 yards receiving, had the pick. And by the way, should have had 2 more touchdowns in that ball game. So, if he can, tough pace to keep. We'll see. But he may end up having a season as a two-way player that surpasses what Charles Woodson did as a two-way player, which could make the Heisman conversation very interesting come November. I get it. Usually it's a quarterback on the best team. And I don't think Colorado's winning 9, 10 games, anything like that. But It was worth a flyer. All right, go ahead.
You mentioned he should have had two more touchdowns in the game. He should have had another interception in that game, too.
Yes.
So, I mean, he could have had 2 touchdowns and 2 picks. He was incredible.
As Dion said, he's him.
He's him. And, I mean, Prime was giving him the Heisman at halftime if he would have caught those 2 touchdowns. He wouldn't have dropped those 2 touchdowns.
He'd be chilling in his house. Right?
Chilling at the crib.
Chilling in the crib. That's chilling in the crib.
The Florida Gators stink. And, look, I knew the roster wasn't great, like the talent wasn't there, but the sloppiness that team played with in Utah, the penalties, having 2 number 3s on the field, a false start that took a field goal off the board for you. You sent 8 guys onto the field for field goal block one time. I mean, that is fielding punts inside the 5 and trying to run them back.
You hate to see it.
I mean, look, it's horrible, and I mean, actually, it's the best thing ever.
You just hate to
but
see it.
I didn't expect the follies of that nature to go along with a roster that lacks the talent that we're used to seeing from Florida. But it's going to be a long year in Gainesville.
Paulie.
I learned that true freshman Dante Moore needs to be UCLA's starting quarterback.
He's really good.
He was good.
Former LSU recruit.
Yeah.
Like I said, true freshman. Last year's backup Ethan Garb started the game. He threw 2 interceptions. But in the third quarter, Dante Moore entered the game. UCLA was holding on to a 1-point lead. He entered the game, first play, threw a 62-yard touchdown that helped fuel UCLA's 27-13 win over Coastal Carolina.
Yeah, that was Saturday night, and as South Carolina, North Carolina was getting out of hand, I was searching for anything worth watching, and Penn State, West Virginia was out of hand, and so I was searching for anything worth watching, and then UTSA and Houston got out of hand, so I was searching for anything worth watching, and I found myself to that UCLA game, and Dante Moore entered, and he looks the part. There may be growing pains there as a freshman, as you'd expect, but it just looked different with him on the field. He's going to win that job for sure. You mentioned Penn State being a team to look out for and how they got to go to Ohio State. Did you happen to keep an eye on Ohio State at all?
I did.
Their offense stunk on Saturday. Now, I get it. You're replacing a quarterback. You lost both tackles. You actually lost 3 offensive linemen. You're working a new quarterback with Kyle McCord. So I get it. And you're on the road against Indiana in conference. However, Indiana was dead last in the Big Ten in total defense last year, and Tom Allen's going to get fired this year. So the fact that offense went on the road and struggled so mightily is a red flag. I'm not saying bury them. It's week 1, and they can improve and all, and the sample size there, and the receivers are good and all that, but blah, 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 blah. But you go on the road and you stink against Indiana, I'm at least going to pay more attention to you. So Ohio State's offense, gigantic question mark right now.
Not totally much of a takeaway as much as I just want to give a hat tip to TJ Finley, who balled out on Saturday against the Baylor Bears. 22 of 30.
Dave Aranda for LSU defensive coordinator.
22 of 30 for 298 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Quarterbacks, really kind of the first upset of the day there. I mean, I know Purdue ended up falling to Fresno State, and for some reason Texas Tech thought they could just waltz into Laramie, Wisconsin, and get Laramie, Wyoming, and get a win. But on a day where you were searching for intrigue, as you kind of noted, Matt, TJ Finley and Texas State provided a little bit of that. So hat tip there to the former Tiger.
Run Waco and beat Dave Aranda and Baylor.
Yeah.
That Big 12 championship in the Sugar Bowl feels like a long time ago.
Been a rough
for
one
Baylor
since
right
year
now.
1, hadn't it?
Paulie, number 3.
It's kind of a hat tip to Michael Penix and his strong start.
Yep.
He finished 8th in Heisman voting last year. Last year he had a season-high 4 touchdown passes in one game. Yesterday.
Saturday. You okay, Paulie?
I'm good.
You some coffee?
A little flustered.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Michael Penix.
Threw 5 touchdowns on Saturday, 450 yards. Statement win against Boise State. Off to a good start.
I hated to see it because I had money on Boise plus
So
the
did I.
14.5. And finally, Peter Burns mentioned this when he was here in hour 2. I asked him for one big takeaway aside from the LSU loss. And he mentioned Tennessee's defense, which it was notable. Now, they played Virginia, and Virginia might be the worst Power 5 team in college football this year, but Tennessee won 49-13. They had 11 TFLs in the game. Let me say that again. Tennessee had 11 TFLs in the game. You know they're going to score. That offense is just conducive for it. The problem a year ago was they scored quickly and their defense couldn't keep up. On Saturday, it looked like a different unit. Long way to go. They got Florida in 2 weeks. I mean, Florida stinks. But still Florida. They're at least Florida's going to wear the uniform. But anyway, Tennessee's defense. Good eye on. All right, that's our college football takeaways from the weekend. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. Brought to you by Traction, TractionSports.com. TractionSports.com, Traction, where champions are made. Couple things to remind you about. One, if your son or daughter is an athlete, you want to get them world-class instruction at a world-class facility from world-class trainers. Traction. Sounds expensive. It's not. They have sport-specific small group trainings. It's a membership that's available, and it is incredibly affordable. Learn more at TractionSports.com, TractionSports.com. And remember Traction PT as well. If you need physical therapy, you choose your physical therapist. And at Traction, this is the same place where world-class athletes go for their physical therapy. So maybe you're a weekend warrior. You want to get back onto the golf course. You're you play ancient athletes. Maybe you want to play tennis or pickleball and you're recovering from knee, shoulder, whatever it may be. If you need physical therapy, you choose your physical therapist. Choose the best. Traction Elite Physical Therapy right there at the campus on Burbank. TractionSports.com. TractionSports.com. Traction, where champions are made. Okay. Otter Locks is coming up. See if the Otters got a pick for us tonight. A lot of matinee baseball today, but we do have Clemson and Duke tonight to wrap up week 1 of the college football season. Is there an update? You seen an updated line on that? I'm trying to see if it's been updated. It was 13 on Friday.
I saw 12 at the start of the show.
I'm looking at 12 right now as well, so some Duke money coming in there. We'll see what the Otter thinks. I really wish I'd waited now to make the play because I played at 13. Anyway, all right, we'll knock out a quick break. We'll come back and wrap up a busy Labor Day edition here of AFR with some Otter Locks. See what the Otters got for us. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
Buying or selling commercial or residential. Think real estate. Think Darren James. Tell you every single day. Go to the website, agent225.com, agent225.com. When it comes to real estate, number 1, you need a realtor. Number 2, hire the best. You need a realtor because even those who list their home for sale by owner, 73% end up hiring a realtor for a lot of different reasons. Maybe you just don't have time to be home for showings. Maybe it's all the paperwork. Maybe it's you don't know how to properly price your home. Darren has a database of buyers looking for exactly what you're selling. There's a reason that it's all broken down how Darren can get your home sold faster for more money. Call Darren James today, 335-7666, 335-7666. That's his cell number. Text him right now or go to agent225.com. Agent225.com for Darren James.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
Officially, it's a fridge full of beer. Unofficially, it's free AC. Coors Light, the official beer of everything unofficial.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Life in Louisiana is a song. A symphony of sound, colors, and movement. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is number 1, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance shops, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible, Let's sit down and talk about the Fortified, and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a Fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
Down the stretch, we come final segment here on a Monday edition of AFR, presented by Relief Windows. This is a pretty pleasant surprise. I just opened up my DraftKings account, and I was looking at the futures bets that I had because I made a bet, made a win total bet on Colorado over 3.5. I made a plus 8,000 bet on Travis Hunter to win the Heisman. And I found that I have 2 baseball win totals bets open from way back when. Cubs over 77.5. They're at 74 right now. That one's looking pretty good. And then Dodgers under 95.5. They're at 84. So they got 11. I got 11. It's going to be close. But anyway, there's some Otter Locks from way back in the spring when the season started. So looking forward to seeing if those hit. All right, anyway, do it every day. Let's find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
All right, so we turn to the one and only incomparable, often incomprehensible Ottfather himself, Jimmy Ott. Otter, happy Labor Day. How are you?
Happy Labor Day. Matt, I heard you talking about that. I mean, the Dodgers were kind of a fashionable underpick. And, man, who knew that Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, I mean, Mookie Betts is the number one WAR guy in MLB right now. And then they've had, one of their starting pitchers last year, Kershaw. And I mean, they are, it's fun to watch. But you still got a shot?
They're 84 and 52, so they'll have to face plant a little bit. But the Cubbies, that looks like, they're at 74. I mean, the total was 77.5. They might have that this week.
This is what you got, though. You want to try and maybe have their seeding set with about a week to go, where they will not, have everybody in a rotation and things like that. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. All right. We'll keep an eye on it. All right. Well, you got a Clemson Duke play?
Yes.
Okay.
Duke. So we go on with Duke. Coach of the year last year, Mike Elko, 9-4, and man, just missed in their rivalry against North Carolina to win 10 games. Return 18 starters, 5 of the 6 on the offensive line, including the tight end. Tons of juniors and seniors on this 2 deep. I mean, a ton. So it's, Riley Leonard is going to be drafted somewhere. I don't know where, but he threw for 232 a game and a bunch of touchdowns, very little interceptions, and he rushed for 13 more touchdowns. He was the number 1 rusher and passer for his team last year. So, I know people are high on, the Clemson people are very excited about their season this year, but, man, this is a sneaky good little game on Monday night. Surface. Oh, it's Duke and Clemson. I like Duke to play very, very close to be in this game overall. So, like Duke plus the 13. Is that what you're looking at now?
It had dropped to 12 today, Otter. I'm seeing 12.5 at DraftKings. I don't know if there are any 13 still out there, but it was 13 on Friday.
Okay. 12.5 is fine. Don't buy the half a point with that big of a line. So do good, man, with the Dukies. How about Coach Prime? The point spread value in one game, they were 8-point underdogs. They opened up 5-point favorites.
Wow.
So 13-point swing.
Wait. They were going to be an 8-point dog to Nebraska?
They were 8-point dogs last week. Yes.
Oh, man. Otter, I made a very, very sizable play on Colorado over 3.5.
Good for you. You want to share?
No, not at all.
Travis Hunter can't keep up that pace, but he is. Look, that is way more than Charles Woodson or Champ Bailey. He's got a shot.
Real quick, where are you tomorrow?
A Dozy place, early at 10 a.m. because Brian Kelly press conference.
Great spot. Thanks, Otter.
Thank you, Matt.
All right, we'll see you. Muse, Paulie, thanks. Happy Labor Day. Appreciate y'all for hanging out with us. We'll see you tomorrow at 3. It's AFR.
AFR.
All right, we're getting on down the road. Remind you about Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com, Michelli.com. Check them out online. 76 years in business. Hey, remember with Michelli, they've got a local on-site option as well. Sometimes you have equipment that can't leave your facility or you don't want it to leave your facility. Maybe it's surface plates or welding machines, pressure or temperature gauges. Michelli can come on site to calibrate those for you. They do offer ISO 17025 accredited calibration, and they are looking for technicians. So I would highly recommend, look, Michelli is growing, and they're looking for people. So if you're interested in a career instead of a job, if you're interested in training that'll last you a lifetime, Michelli.com. Go to the website, hit the careers tab at the top. Great veterans program as well through the Department of Justice. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks, all with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations